everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackard.
And I'm Leon Karena.
This is the How Hustle Mystic Morning Show. Today, we're starting our day with Mr. Egan Sanders. Just a few announcements about How Hustle. First, you have joined us on day 3 of this summit. If you've missed day 1 and day 2, you can easily go back to your dashboard. I'm like sounding like a flight attendant now.
That's right.
Just go directly to your dashboard and scroll down, and you will see some of the previous replays. If you would like to get a VIP pass, because these are only available until 7 days after, then you can get a VIP pass directly on that dashboard.
That's right. And if you don't know how to get to the dashboard, if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can do that by going to howhustle.com/summit. You just put in your first name and your email address, and then you'll be entered into the full experience, plus get some bonuses that are available. And then you'll be led to the dashboard. And that is where you'll bookmark and all the different things that are listed there, plus everybody's special offer and the agenda for what we've got coming up next.
We've got an exciting show for you today. But first, I want to let you know about 2 things. One is if you are on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. 2, we have a social media contest going on that Leonka will talk about in a minute. And 3, today through Friday, I'm gifting you a 7-part meditation series of my dragon voyages to really help you sleep.
Oh,
If you
I'm just
What?
going to chime in here
Go
and
for it.
talk about the dragon voyages
Okay.
because I remember the day that I did one of your meditations, and then the next thing I know, I walk into my grandmother's house that I had lived in, and everything had changed. I had
I
switched
remember
into
that.
a different timeline doing her dragon meditation, and I remember that it was all the same things that I remember, but I just felt a little bit bigger, like a little bit like everything was there. And then my grandmother was there, and all of the things that we're experiencing, because she had been kind of sick, she was healthy. It was all the things that make you smile. And so I
Wow.
just thought, wow, this is amazing. So I'm gonna let her tell you about what she's got, but I just wanted to
Thank
let
you
you
for
know how powerful this is.
if you use the code today, dragons, on the link that's in the email, or you'll find it also in the shop. It's only $8.80. It used to be a $300 offer, and it's only available now through Friday for you guys that are live or listening shortly after the show. So if you want them, there's a message from Armetus, my Arcturian Dragon channel, that speaks through me telepathically, and you can get all of that on uh just today through Friday. It's dragons is the coupon code, and look for dragon voyages. There's 7 voyages. It's about 7 hours in the program. So it should be a great guest. A great day.
Yes, yes. All
I'm
right,
like
let's talk about
got
the
the cauldron real quick.
Okay, so we are doing a social media engagement challenge to incentivize you to engage with us on social media. And please put your comments, anything that you're receiving that we call whispers or clues that you receive from the different speakers. So it could just be like a call out, or maybe you had a dream last night. And so we want you to put those on Instagram, and our Instagram is How Hustle Live, or TikTok, How Hustle Live, or on YouTube, and you can just search for How and Hustle, and you will find our channel there, and you can just select the Whispers of Oneness Day 3. You don't even have to do all that. Just put a comment somewhere, and then then send us a screenshot to team at howhustle.com to ensure that we see it, so we can get your name dropped into this pretty little cauldron, in which you'll get a gifted
A
one-on-one
session.
session with either Jeneth or I. I love how she always tries to help me with my words, but thank
It's
you.
like it's like she's forgetting again.
I know it's my ADHD, but it's okay. I still chose to do a podcast nonetheless. All right, guys, we
Yeah.
have a great show for you today. I cannot wait to get into this. Egan is one of those that had joined us originally in one of our earlier summits, and he just blew us away with the way in which that he can speak to timeline, to just different elements of our evolution, to use the word that Ambajam used
Yeah.
yesterday. And I will let Egan speak to his work, but I am so excited to bring him here today with you.
Yeah. We want to talk all the way from the multiverse into attracting whatever you want to attract or whoever you want to attract today. So, uh, Egan, why don't you start by giving the newer audience a glimpse of who you are and how long you've been doing this work, especially because I know it's been eons.
Well, I'm currently a men's enlightenment coach. I'm proud to be the only man on the summit. I'm glad I'm holding the space.
You
So
are.
glad.
Thank you.
I actually dropped out of college when I was 19 to study metaphysics. This is like 40 years ago. So anything spiritual and metaphysical or philosophical fascinated me. I explored a lot of things. Over time, I began to sort of teach classes, and I was a professional psychic for a number of years. So, I had that ability. And I've taught online and in different places in the world and, written books and all that's good stuff. The last several years, there's been so many changes on the planet and transitions that we're going through. So, about a year ago, I decided just to work with men, although I still work with women occasionally and I have clients. And I'm focusing more on men's issues because there's lots of great female coaches, but not as many for men,
Very
So,
true.
we're trying to
Very
balance
true.
things out. And, but you need the yin and the yang. You need both. And what I'm going to talk about today is really based on all the people I've worked with over the years and my own personal experiences and working with the clients, obviously. I do want to preface because there's different levels to this conversation we can have about attracting a conscious partner. I just want to preface that, you know, being a human being is messy, whether you're a male or a female. And my own path to becoming more conscious in relationships has been a long path, which I work on every day. Anything I say about women or females or the female energy in this conversation, I just want to communicate to the listeners that I'm aware that men can do something similar or have their own variation of this. So don't interpret that anything I say is a critique or being judgmental. I'm trying to be honest because I see that people are struggling in relationships to hold the glue together. And so really why I wanted to give this talk and do a series about it is because I want people to be happy, to not only
Mhm.
be giving universal love to everybody and being a nice spiritual person, but to have a happy personal life.
Yes.
So
I'm glad that you're calling it out, directly forward, and not that in any negative way, but pointing that out to us that this is it's beneficial for us to hear it in this way, right? So thank you for saying all that.
Well, and we're trying is the key word here, creating a land of oneness, right? And every time we're in a relationship, that is some degree of separation energetically, right? It's gonna, we live in a polarized planet. We have, poles in every single way and duality in every single way. So it would make sense that every single relationship would seem to have these various poles. Do you want to start there and talking a little bit about the separation that we create? Because I know that we can go anywhere with you. So I wanted to talk, expansive if we can.
Well, I think he
it's
kind of has something that
Or
he's planned for us.
well, yeah, there were certain things, but it's an interesting question because degrees of separation. So even though we're talking about how to attract a conscious partner, the
Mhm.
most important relationship I had to develop was with my own soul or higher self or divine self, whatever you want to
Yes.
call it. Without that, all the relationships can be performative, or you're negotiating things, or you're trying to do that. So
Yes.
when I'm looking at different spiritual systems, whether it's Christianity or Islam or metaphysics, New Age, you know, can that person really honor that divine in the other person? And so what I would say is, to the degree that you're fragmented yourself is what is what you're going to experience in the outer world. So I was always looking at experiences and saying, all right, well, I feel separate from the mainstream, but I want a partner and I want happy and healthy and loving and fulfilling relationships of all kinds. How can I bridge that gap? And it's been an interesting process to kind of step out of the comfort zone, and the sense of separation, and basically be open and vulnerable, which is what most conscious guys or spiritual guys are doing. We're trying to be
Yes.
open and then, meet the spiritual women and the conscious women on that level, but it's not always easy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that.
I feel like, us women, we want to take over the world now, and that used to be the man's job. So then the man is kind of, setting back in a different way as a humanoid man these days. Um, what do it's almost like they seem like they are of service from what
Well,
my awareness is.
it's confusing. So
Hmm.
so the people who are listening, and let's do sort of not a thought experiment, but I'll tell you about a recent experience I had, and you tell me what this woman did wrong or right. Okay.
Okay.
It's about a spiritual event, and we're
We're
doing
gonna judge her. Okay.
I'm just gonna say I want you to have an objective viewpoint. So
Okay,
Okay, yes.
we're at this thing, we're doing like a kind of like a puja, kind of a tantric thing, and people are rotating, male and female, and we're having conversations. And I see this woman, she's around my age, and I can see that she's looking at me and I'm looking at her, and I know I can feel intuitively we're interested. So I'm like, all right. So we have the events beautifully facilitated and just lots of great sharings. And it wasn't even a relationship one, it was more just like for community. And I was like, oh, this is a great event. The very end of the event, they hand us a sheet and a pen. They say, well, here's an evaluation form. So I go, okay, this is great. So I'm filling out the thing. And so joking with the woman who I went to the woman that I was attracted to. So I was joking with her and I go, psst, psst, what'd you get for number four? Which is, it's a questionnaire, so there's no right answer. So she smiles, but she punches me in my arm. She
good.
punches me so hard that like it really hurt. Like it wasn't like, hey, you just don't be silly. It's like she punched me. So I'm like, okay. So I back off to my part of the ring and I fill out the, whatever. So in that situation where I was having a nice interaction with the people, what could that woman have maybe have done differently?
That reminds me of that Friends episode where the girl just like, he's like da, 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 da," and the dude's like, ouch.
Oh, she beat him up.
She just kept beating him up in a very cute, playful way, but it hurt him physically.
Yeah, it hurts. So the thing is, she was a spiritual teacher, did sound baths. We're all spiritual. So here's a conscious person.
Mm.
Now, yes, so somebody's saying punched you lovingly. Well, there's love and then there's, sadomasochism, so it's like I don't mind.
Ah.
You just like they'd like tap me, I'd be okay, whatever. So there's certain things that I think that women sort of make a mistake with some of the conscious or spiritual guys. That was just kind of like an example.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bridge the gap, but let me just address some of those things. So yes, I would have preferred that she had not punched me. She had tapped me playfully, I would have been okay, and that was fine, but she punched me. So there's several things that I noticed, and I want to sort of just go into the meat of
Let's
this
do it.
because
Yes,
Let's
let's
go.
go for
okay.
it.
All right. We're going to
So
be no judgment in that way. We're just going to go and be
you
open
could be
to
as
the
judgmental as you want. I'm just going to just be honest.
Just saying that for the audience. We're a loving group here.
So there's variations here in the current society. So now we're very spiritualized. If this was 30 or 40 years ago, it's a very different environment. Now there's so many metaphysical people
Yes.
and spiritual things and social media. So one of the things you see is a spiritual superwoman. So it's a woman, she has like her practice and she's a life coach and she's
Yeah.
doing all these long posts about her deepest feelings and being the feminine energy and, what men are doing and all these things. And it's like, well, if you're this super, complete being, what's the guy supposed to do? Hold your purse when you go shopping? Like what, they're so empowered. It's like it becomes intimidating. Nobody wants to go out with Wonder Woman, like not really. It's a little bit much. So,
Okay.
Some men do though. I think there are men for that role. I mean, I've watched The House of Stassi on Bravo, and
mm,
that dude, he will babysit those kids while he used to be a
I think that's
reality TV
Let's hear him out.
photographer. I do think that there are people for a lot of
I do
people,
too,
though.
but let's hear him out.
well, you bring up a good point about nurturing. So naturally, if a woman births a child, they're
Yeah.
geared to nurturing and loving, and there's very loving men and who will do that, but typically the guy and typically would go out and fight wars or work a job, and the wife would say, okay, well, I'm going to take care of the home and protect our progeny, and then you'll go out and do these things, and that was the deal. We don't have those rules anymore. It's all mixed up. So people are like, okay, well, where it's like dancing. I would take dancing lessons. I was learning salsa and bachata. And so in those Latin dances, the male leads. You have to learn the steps and then the male leads the woman. So when I would go out to dancing, about half of the women would start fighting me because I would say, no, relax and let me lead because this is how, and they're like, and then they go, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm like, okay, great. And they're still fighting me on some level. So there's sort of like a power imbalance where the women say, well, I got my own business and I'm so accomplished and I got my degree and, I go to the gym and everything. And the guy's like, well, where's the feminine energy? It's not always there. Sometimes it's there. Sometimes it's not. And then the weak men will tend to go for the stronger women because they're like, well, I don't have enough male energy. So this person does, or I want to just do what they say and be dominated. So go have a good time. It's not my style, but okay, go for that. So
Mhm.
that's one of the dynamics that creates a problem. Too much male energy. Another thing, I'm just going to say it, and I don't know the social or political perspective of the people on the call, but a lot of spiritual and conscious women, a good number of them are liberal.
Okay.
Either, you should get the three categories: apolitical, extreme left liberal, and then they have a whole other segment who are more like libertarian, I would describe them. So
Okay.
I've experienced where I'm interacting with a lot of the liberal women where the moment you don't agree with their viewpoint, they attack you. Suddenly you're racist, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're evil, you're blah, blah, whatever it is. And they go off into some kind of la la land and start lecturing you about how you're wrong about this and how you're wrong about that, and that you're the patriarchy. Well, the matriarchy and the patriarchy got to work together. Otherwise, you ain't going to have any society. So that wokeism, which is pushed in people's faces, at least for the men, we just kind of go, I don't know what to do. Like, I
But
like
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
see,
Okay.
but every example here, what I'm seeing is they're causing separation, they're causing judgment, right? Which is the difference between spirituality and consciousness in my mind. I feel like some of the spiritual people are like, I do these things and I do these chants and I do these witcheries and this and this and this. Where as conscious beings, we're here to create a planet based on no separation, less separation,
But not everybody's worried
and no
about the
judgment. I
gender.
know, but
That's what
but
I'm
Egan
saying.
is because we've interviewed him before.
I'm saying this for the masses, right? And I get
Yeah,
it.
but
I get it
we're
though.
our audience isn't the masses. Our audience is those Navy SEALs of consciousness that are just learning.
Okay.
I'm just being a devil's
You
advocate, but
totally are.
in the way that Egan likes to attract judgment. Just kidding.
I'm
Now just
But
watch,
let's play.
everybody.
I'm not
I
Watch.
want,
trying to.
hang on. So
I know because he's going to
wait,
show us magic, and I'm just trying to stir it up. Here, I have a cauldron, and I know that our witch's brew is really going to go on fire in a minute because I know Egan.
Do you know
Okay,
me? Really?
I don't
okay.
think
Well,
so.
We have
Maybe
a
not
superpower.
anymore.
Let's
well,
go.
well, engagement. So creating controversy. So you go on social media, and then so either the man who's like red pilled or the woman who's they'll try to like say something provocative, and so and sometimes it's good to have a conversation. Other times it's meant to be provocative to trigger people so that they'll get engagement, so they have more
Yes.
viewers, and so it becomes a corrosive effect. And that's where a lot of the
Mm.
ad revenue comes from. These social media companies are like, let's put on the most disturbing stuff. Let's show like violence and people being mean to each other because people say, oh, if you show a video of a little kid selling lemonade and people love him, they're like, well, that's not getting enough views. We need to have some violence and people disagreeing with each other and pick like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the society who are acting kind of crazy. Meanwhile, when you go out in the world, most people are getting along most of the time and they're
Right.
not, doing wacky things. So there's a
Right.
distortion that's coming, and that is filtering over into the relationships because a lot of people, younger people, are on social media and they're like, oh, well, here's this challenge on TikTok, or, my boyfriend didn't go see the Barbie movie. And so if he didn't see the Barbie movie, well, these people say I should, get out of the relationship. And so it begins to poison a lot of people's minds, unfortunately, even spiritual people.
Yes.
I can agree with that. So what is the remedies here? What do we need to thank you for calling those things out and having just at least putting that more in their awareness, because I do get that that there I do see that. I do see, I mean, I do note that our audience is much more conscious than that, but
Mm,
also, I mean, there are places not too long ago where I felt like I was a lot more liberal. And then I was like, wait, I feel like everything is offensive. Like, I didn't know where to stand sometimes. I didn't even know what words to use anymore, even in the workplace. And I thought, this has gone a little far, right? And if I'm feeling like this, and I love everybody, if I'm feeling like this, then where do men really stand in that, right? So like every
Mhm.
single thing you're doing is you're tiptoeing around things, right? So and on top of that, everyone was attacking each other for where you're not being thoughtful enough or inclusive enough. And I'm like, I don't even know what the correct term is today, right? Like, I mean, it was moving so fast and people were uh really calling each other out so quickly. This cancel culture really took effect. And so when you're talking about relationships and you're dating someone, I can see how that would be like, oh my goodness, what did I just step into? A landmine just for speaking some of my mind or having any opinion, right? Like, again, I'm just using myself as an example, because even in the workspace, I didn't even know if I could compliment somebody's hairstyle that day, right? Like, you, and I'm just a complimentary type of person. Like, I'm like, oh girl, you look good. Look at your hair, you look so nice. Like, and people were getting upset about these things, and everybody was just really taking sides about what their pronouns were. And I felt like,
Mm.
okay, wait. This might have gotten a little far. And for myself, I wanted, and of course, I'm trying to look up like what's the right thing, what's the term we're using right now? Is it people experiencing homelessness, or is it homeless people? Like, so I can see how when you're
Wow.
trying to date, how strong and how fast that can catapult into a you're not nice person, right? You're not the man for me. And I do want to just call
Yes.
that out and call myself out for that too, right? So I think that's important for people to recognize that sometimes we can hold these unconscious biases, not even knowing that we're doing that. And and we're really not. And I, from the last thing I ever want to do was offend somebody, right? But even still, I was finding myself tiptoeing around things. So I can totally sympathize where somebody dating would have that problem as well. And that
the,
was kind
cu-
of where I wanted to
Or
come from.
just any relationship if you want to create friends too.
Right, exactly. Right,
Yeah.
like in the workplace, right? And
Yeah.
yes, 100%, right? Uh,
But people will just write you off because they're like, you're not like me. You're off.
well, yeah, and you're using the wrong terminology, and he said sometimes spiritual people tend to be, um, you know.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's
go ahead.
diff there's different mindsets, but the culture is different. We're being watched. They had this whole thing with the flock cameras that are watching all your
Yeah,
movements with
yeah,
your
yeah,
vehicles. And then like if you say anything on the internet, it's like there forever. And
yeah.
so you can say, and then they have AI, they can change things. So I was on a Facebook chat and like a Facebook commented something and I disagreed with somebody. He took my photo
Oh,
and he
wow.
created another photo of me and he posted it in the comments of me doing
Oh,
something strange and was like, that was a very
yeah,
strange moment.
yeah.
Um,
Oh.
but the culture's changing, If we go back 30 years, it was different. 30 years from now, it'll be different. I think we're kind of going to come to a center because, in the 1950s, it got very conservative, and then you had all the hippies where it went like another thing, and we've been going back and forth. And I think now we're kind of coming to a center. We're saying, well, we have a multicultural society or whatever and different religions, and there's 8 billion people. We got to get along, but we can't be like eating each other and attacking each other all the time. But that's unfortunately what the media wants. They want people fighting all the time because if we were all unified, we might question, hey, who are the guys, behind the green curtain, like the Wizard of Oz? Like what's really going on here? So that's one of the strategies I think that you have to be aware of is when you see these things out, who wants me to believe this and why? Am I being conditioned to hate other people who are different from me? So
Mm,
if I meet somebody from a different
Mm.
political persuasion, I don't, if I date somebody, like I'm open, I say, well, however, after a while, if they're so extreme left for myself, I don't even bother anymore. As soon as they say something that's too extreme, I just say, you're very nice or whatever. Some of them will engage in a conversation, it's okay, but A lot of people these days, they see something on TikTok, they're very misinformed, they don't know the history of things,
Yeah.
and then they're just kind of regurgitating stuff, whether it's
Yeah.
conservative or not, or liberal, whatever. They regurgitate things, they're not really thinking. And then if you say, well, like for example, somebody said to me, Elon Musk is evil. He's evil. He wants to destroy humanity. I go, based on what? So I got my phone and I Googled what it was, and he had a quote. He said, "Well, humanity will one day leave the planet. That's why I'm doing all these space things because eventually it'll die." He wasn't saying he wanted to destroy society. So I said it to this person. I said, "Well, here's the quote," and she was just like, she just got mad at me because I said, "Well, what's reality? If you don't know what reality is, how can you create a relationship or a shared reality with somebody where they're in a fantasy or deluded and you're trying to deal with facts and figures?"
Yeah.
Okay. Solutions. I think you asked about solutions.
Yeah.
Um, it's very simple. Well, you guys are demonstrating this. Just be nice.
Yes.
Be nice. You see, you're smiling. Here are these two ladies. They look like women. They're not dressed in a business suit. They're not militant feminists who are saying, whatever. They're friendly. They smile. I was at a social event on Saturday, 40 men, 20 women. 25% of the women were feminine. Walk up to them, they're not, how you doing, Egan? They're nice. All the other ones were acting like men. They were walking like men. Some of them were very pretty and dressed very nice. It was a costume thing. But the way you would approach them was like that's a dude. I was at a restaurant with a guy friend of mine not too long ago, and we had a gay male server. And so the guy came up and he's taking over, a very nice guy, and he walked off. And I go, psychically, I said, that guy has more feminine energy than 90% of the women that I meet because he was just like gentle, like very gentle. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I remember that. There was more like that back in the old days, because I'm so old now.
Well,
Back in the old days.
don't you think that some of that is people put on these identity personas, they put on these facades so
Mm.
that they, you know, feel like they can
Project, yeah.
be and be different. I don't feel that those people actually are that at all. Probably when you're perceiving that, it feels so fake to you because that's just the identity that they are wearing at that time.
Yeah, yes and no. Some of them are very masculine, but the thing is, I have the empathy because over the years when I do all the psychic readings and the classes and stuff, when I would deal with single women, um, a lot of them would be like, the story was always the same. They're young, they get married, they pop out a kid or two, and they're like, okay, well now I have kids. They divorce because they had a soul contract that they were supposed to have children and bring in these other souls in, but they didn't need the guy after the while. There was something the
That's
matter
so
with the guy
funny.
or it wasn't work. So like, okay, you got to go. And now they're like, okay, well I have to raise these kids and I have to do this. And so now they have to raise the two kids, usually by themselves. Maybe they'll get some, money from the guy if he's there. Um, they have to have a job. They're competing with other people. And so they're working really hard. And they don't have time, for a social life or develop or just to relax. And so
Yeah.
then they get older and like, well, now I'm 45 or 50 and my kids are gone. It's like, okay, well now I'm supposed to be like very feminine and attractive. Like how am I supposed to even, do that? Because a lot of women, when they have kids, they don't even date, if they have small, even
I get
teenage
it.
kids, they don't date.
Yeah.
So I have sympathy that they have to wear the energy of the male energy to compete in the world.
Sure.
Um, but if you went back, my mother had her own business in the 70s. She was one of I don't say one of the first business people, but she got divorced. She says, well, I've got to, pay the bills. The father isn't here. And so she created her own business and was, doing things. Um, but that doubled the workforce because now men and women were going in mass into it, and that created all sorts of competition. And now we're in a situation is too many people, a lot of them educated, not enough jobs or not enough well-paying jobs. And so this changes the dynamic where now you have a lot of very super successful women, and some of the guys aren't doing as good, for
Yeah.
different reasons.
Yeah.
So the solution I think is simply being nice, um, appreciation. One day I was dating a woman and she just said, hi, handsome. Now, of
Yeah.
course, I know I'm handsome, but
That's sweet.
when she said that, just that one thing, I was like, that made my day.
Oh, I
So we
love
don't
that.
always get enough compliments. And the guy knows you better be complimenting that woman on how she
Yeah.
looks and, throwing some things out there as part of your game, and that's fine. And I love women, and they dress up, and, it's a beautiful, the courtship and opening doors for people and getting the flowers and, all that. I love all of that. It's a wonderful thing. Um, but it does become a challenge when the dynamics in the society are changed a little bit, and now you go out on a date and the woman says, "Well, I'll pay half, or I'll pay for you," and you're like, "Wait, let's not go too fast here. Let me just be the guy and let me open the door. Let me." Otherwise, again, what's the guy going to do? Like, you're going to do all the things to
Do you
yourself and be
feel that
independent.
women are not letting you be masculine in that way? Like that women are not letting men
They're
make
wearing the
decisions?
energy of independence because, like, well, I don't need a guy really because I
I
had
get
to,
it.
take care of my
I get
life
it.
and do these things.
Yeah.
And so the guy's just saying, "Can I just change your oil? Can I just brush the snow off your car when it snows? Can I, I could hold the purse and blooming death, but if I just do this other thing, because the man wants to give energy, he wants to, like, say, I'm,
Yeah.
throw another guy who flirts with my girlfriend. Let me fight with him a little bit. Give me something to do. So complimenting people and letting the guy be the guy is important because without that, then the guy's like, well, I don't know. How am I supposed to relate to this person? What am I supposed to, are we best friends?
I
That's the
I
thing.
I I feel like you're tipping on something that we all need to hear, because what I know is that a lot of people aren't seen and aren't heard. And
Big.
I know that women are great at not seeing and hearing men especially. And I don't know how that energy dynamic needs to shift, but I know that that is the case. And that was the case in my relationship until my husband basically had a tizzy fit and it's like, "I am asking you to do this, you are not listening." Right? And since doing this work and, looking at identity and points of view and, and really being a part of this land of oneness where, he's almost could be that playing that game of the field mirror back to me.
Yeah. There
I
we go.
do wonder how that dynamic can shift so we do start to see and hear people in a much greater way.
One of the reasons I became the men's coach is because when went through like a crisis or a transition, and then when I was doing all the research, men, to be very serious, I've joked around and we talked about some serious things, but to be dead
Mhm.
serious, I just had a friend of mine commit suicide. He was a
Oh
therapist.
no.
So
Okay.
he was about 10 years younger than me, really lovely guy. He had some challenges as a personality, we all do, but he was a good guy. And we would just like commiserate. We were like, I'm trying to find somebody I can have a relationship with, but some of them have like so many problems or just different dynamics that are going on. Um, and so the suicide rate is very high. If you go to a gym, here's something that all the women can do on this call. If you go to a gym and you see those guys who are like, pumping the iron and they're like they're working on their triceps and their biceps and their this and their that, they're not doing it because, for themselves. They're usually doing it because they want to look good for the women. If you just walk up to the guy and say, "Hey, I appreciate you, you're pumping it there. Good job. You're looking, something like that. Thank you. Just like if I see a woman who gets, I remember I was walking in a parking lot and this woman was walking across and she had a nice dress. She wasn't like a model or anything, but I could see that she had put the makeup and the earrings and all, and she was walking across, to whatever the store. And I just said to her, thank you. Like you're not walking around in pajamas, like where a lot of people walking around in pajamas. I'm like, thank you for, doing the whole thing here and being a woman, because you don't see it as much if you actually go out. Now, if I say these, you go out, you say, wow, a lot of the women, they're not really making an effort. Some of them are,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I'm gonna play
you
devil's
guys are. You're
advocate.
you're you're making effort for a lot of people. You're
I'm gonna
overdoing
play devil's advocate. If somebody told me thank you, I would be like, hold up. I did this for me.
it.
Oh, really?
Oh, see?
Now, if it's somebody said, you look nice, or I mean, I've had people say, oh, you look very nice today, or whatever. Like I've had without being catcally, right? Like without a guy being catcally, but like, you look very lovely, right? I would have received that wholeheartedly, right? I'd be like, thanks, like I would, and I probably wouldn't be like, thanks, but I would be like, thank you. But I would receive it wholeheartedly, right? I probably wouldn't be all like, but I would, in my internal, I would receive that because yes, I did put on my earrings today. Yes, I did put on my red lipstick, right? And my dress because yes, but I do it for me first. Um, but
And
I
I
do,
do it for her.
you do do it for me, yes.
And I do it for all of
Hysterical.
womankind.
You do it for you. And the truth is that I just wanted to point that out. But yes, if I mean there are a lot of times where I've gotten my hair done or whatever, and my son and my husband both like have no idea that anything happened, and I'm like, really? And I'm like, I'm walking over here, like, and they do try to. They're both pretty observant, but I have been in those relationships where the compliments weren't there, and it felt very dry, and maybe I wasn't giving them as well, so that
But
could
see,
be
that's
something
the
that was
problem
mirrored
though.
back
See,
to
this is where
me,
we get
right?
we're getting the dynamics. If a guy's too nice, let's
And
bring
this
it
is
back to
true.
the
Yeah, no,
consciousness. If
yes,
you're
Yeah,
too
let's
nice,
yeah,
they go, he's too well, he's too nice.
yeah,
He
yeah.
likes me
Well,
too
that's a
much.
facade in itself, right?
yeah.
Well, this person likes me too much. All right, well, let's just like be cold. Then if you're not nice enough, this would be very funny because I would meet women. And so, like, you meet them and you get the number and you're like, all right, now the time is for the texting to see if this thing has legs. And so you text me like, okay, I texted them, did I say the right thing? Got to be cool, not too thick, not too heavy, even if you really like them, you got to, whatever. And you go through all these mental gymnastics and you use your cell phone, like, okay, well, and then you're waiting for the response back. If you're too nice, then they go, well, this guy likes me too much. That's no good. And if you just give them enough, then like sometimes they respond better. And after a while, I was like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to send them a message, and then I'm just like going to do nothing. Then I had all these women saying, "Well, why don't you, where you're not present in the relationship?" I'm like, "Well, because in the past when it was too nice, So you can't really win. So in relationships, it's like all men are like part of a bomb squad. They may not be in law enforcement, but they're part of a bomb squad because every time they interact with a woman in a romantic way, they're basically being sent out to defuse the bomb. I better not say that. If I say this could happen, and boom, it goes up on your face.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
My son, when he was dating, he's 30 now and just got married.
Oh, thank
He,
God. He made it. He made
right?
it.
Man, though he said one word, it was that C word that us women don't like. And he wasn't referring to that girl. He was just kind of saying it like in the about somebody and something. Now he wasn't even trying to date conscious women. He's just trying to date women.
How
And
interesting.
she lost her shit and just basically got up from dinner and walked out on him. And he, looked at me, his mother, and it's like, what would you do in that situation? I said, I probably would have ridden it out, but I would have been like, no, I don't want to date a judgmental man like that.
I was on I
There,
was on a
yeah, I
I
told
was
him
on a
no.
date with a woman. She was like very intelligent and spiritual. So we would go to take her to a nice restaurant, and she starts drinking. I'm not a big drinker. Maybe I have maybe 2 or 3 drinks a year. I'm not a big
Mhm.
drinker. So we're in there. So she wants a drink, so I'll get her a drink. So we're sitting there. Starts getting drunker, starts drinking and everything. And then she's like, gets very opinionated and everything. And she starts telling me, oh, I sleep 12 hours a day, and starts going into this whole thing. And she says, oh, well, St. Augustine is so racist. And she starts going into all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just kind of like eating my, what's going on. And at one point, she took ice out of her cup and threw it down my shirt. So I was like, interesting. So I've had these situations where I'm like, what is going on here? Like how did this escalate?
Yeah.
So
I'm so confused.
so you're like, what's going on? We're faced with now I'll say some other things too that aren't very attractive. No offense, Jennifer. Tattoos. When I was a kid, the only
But these
people
are all your points of view.
and they're good
Eh,
ones too, so you should listen. So the thing is, so the thing is, when I was a kid, the only people that had tattoos was a guy in the Marines, you know, where you go to the circus, you see the tattooed person, whatever, all right, whatever. Now they have, okay, you have like one tattoo, whatever. Now you have people who are like the whole face and the whole thing and the whole, they're all
Yes.
like color tattoos, or their face is a jewelry display case. They got the septum ring, they got the lip thing here, they got one here, one there. And it's like, I don't want to kiss a display, you know, jewelry display case. You know, with my nose, I might like catch something and I can't, you know, I got to be careful here. So the saying is, some of the things that they do. So I'm trying to help the people. I'm doing a public service here on behalf of humanity
But
here,
it's based on your point of view is what we're
which
trying
is
to
an absolutely true and perfect point of view, I assure you, since I have it myself. But the thing is, you're asking me what people do. Now you see, you have a tattoo, but he's like, oh, you have it on the arm. Maybe you have other tattoos. I don't know. But like, okay, that's fine. But when you have the thing where
Ooh.
it's like a neck brace and they have the eye and the this and the tongue ring, and you're like what's going on here? Like you know, so it's like, this is an alien? Like, what's going on here? I don't know what they're gonna come up with next. So these are things that when we encounter, we're
Are
like,
you in a relationship?
I'm sorry,
Are you in a relationship?
right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm in negotiations with several. I'm detonating several bombs as we speak. I'm
Oh
actually
my
on the
goodness.
phone with my team that they're telling me whether to cut the red wire or the green wire. So I don't know how it's going to go.
Well, let us know how it goes. Uh,
We need to
Tracy
find a
says
woman for Egan.
we need to find a woman for Egan. Anyone have any female friends? I don't know. They feel like they're stepping into a time bomb in themselves too. Like, right? Because I mean, there's just a lot of points of view there.
I've decided that I'm going to go to another planet because my theory is that in some distant world, maybe the Pleiades or Lyra or something, there's somebody who's right for me. That, you know, I can
Sure,
just
I
talk
do
to them
think so.
telepathically. They don't care who I voted for, and we're all good.
There we go. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
It's so interesting because the last conversation we had with you was about ecstasy. I was like, is this the same person?
I'm the same person, just a different aspect of my life, you know. And when
Yeah.
you bring up a
Well,
good,
I mean, some of this I appreciate for sure because I do think that, you know, what you're saying is valid for, you know, the real boots on this
I'm just
reality.
telling it like it is. You mentioned ecstasy, so here's the thing. So
Mhm.
you know, I'm being a little bit outrageous today, but you know, most of my day, you know, I go into my meditation. I'm working with clients. I'm doing things.
Oh no,
We can tell, man.
I'm compassion. I'm a combination
how
of
many tattoos
Gandhi
you
and
got,
Mother
girl?
Teresa. You know, like I got it all covered, and I'm helping them. And you know, but you know, when I do meditations, I can go into a meditation and I can go into like an ecstatic state and feel all sorts of bliss. And to be honest, I get more satisfaction from that than dealing with society.
Yes.
You know, that's why, you know, I saw something the other day about you know, why do so many older women have of pets? You know, this is the kind of thing. Why do they have pets? And the guy says they're going through many pause. You know, pause many because they, you know, like that's so they're going
Yes.
through many pause. And I thought about it because when
It's
people have the
funny.
pets, they get the pure unconditional love. They don't, you
Yeah.
know, you know, and so
Yeah.
that's the other thing.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
I'll meet a lot of women of lots of pets. They say like, I have 4 pets and I got a chinchilla and I got a, you know, gorilla and I got a salamander. And I'm like, well, where's the guy gonna fit in that zoo scenario? And then they'll have like pets and they'll have like, well, my 25-year-old daughter or son is living with me. I'm like, okay, so you have like 4 thoroughbred horses and 5 dogs, and then you know you have the cat and your son and your daughter, and you know your ex-boyfriend, you know, mows the lawn sometimes, and somehow I'm supposed to come into this situation and just fit effortlessly.
No problem. I don't see any problem there.
I once, I
My
was once.
husband fits in just fine with all our paws.
God bless your husband. God bless him. Anyway, I went to go visit a woman at her house, and her son lived with her. This is a true story. So, her son lived with her, and so like I'm in the kitchen with them, and she says, "Oh, my son," and you know he's, you know, whatever, and he was kind of a sketchy kind of guy, and he goes, "Oh, let me show you my knife collection," and I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So he goes over to a thing, and he has all these knives, and he starts like throwing them at this dartboard, and I'm thinking, you know, if I don't say the right thing to his mother, one of those knives is probably going to find its way to
That is
me.
exactly why he showed you those knives.
So, so I did the most spiritual thing and I got the hell out of there because I knew that I was next on the list.
Let me ask you this. So Do you utilize, I know that you're psychic, whatnot, so I would know that you're a person that would listen to your intuition or listen to your, now, do you think that, say this better, is there a place where you feel like your intuition maybe, I don't think that intuition would kind of lead us astray, but do you think that it maybe could be the reason why you don't have a mate?
Well, I've had
Right. So
different
is it
par
blocking you off? Like, I
well,
mean, do you feel like you're,
I've had different partners at different times, and sometimes, and this is like for deep, like if you're like heavily into spiritual evolution, you can't have somebody in your aura. You have to kind of go off and do your own thing. You can't, it's very difficult. Or you can, if you're in a long-term relationship, you kind of have an agreement with the other person. Look, I'm going through some deep, transformation. Energy's moving through my body. I'm having all sorts of realizations. Let's just cancel the barbecue for this week, and then I'll be
dang.
better the next week. So that's one thing. And my goal in life is to go into the highest state of, consciousness. So I've gone through many changes. When I've had a partner where they're trying to reaching for the same thing, then it works very, very well. Then it works very, very well. Usually my intuition, it's pretty good. When I used to do the psychic readings, it was always kind of the same thing. Somebody calls in and goes, "Does so and so love me? What's going to happen?" And I would say, "Okay, let me take these two energies and imagine that they're connecting and see what the interplay is. What's the
Sure.
dynamic?" And usually I'd say, "Well, this person thinks about you or they don't." And I would see like the whole energy here. Usually, if I'm interacting in any kind of situation, love relationship, friendship, I had a recent business situation with somebody where I was going to do some events for them, and then they kind of, I could feel like I was adding energy to the situation, but they weren't really like, they were like scattered and stuff. So my intuition is pretty good. What I find is that there's a lot of I give people a certain amount of time, to kind of get to know them and to try to move beyond certain things. But sometimes they throw things at you which you can't really negotiate. And there's a sense of a conscious man needs to feel like peace and a level of safety and comfort. And if you don't feel that, we just say it's not worth it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of men now who aren't even in the dating pool because they're like, you know what, I tried and I was a good partner, and then we got divorced and I had to give her half of everything, or she was difficult, or I'm just exhausted from just being in a relationship. I'm just easy. It's easier being alone. And a lot of women too. So they say, you know what, I'll just have my own place, and if I'll go out and do things with my friends. And
Yeah.
so that's a very common thing as the society is evolving. We are very complex beings. To try to say I'm going to merge my reality with another person, even just relationship wise, is difficult. But then to live with them and to blend everything, I may never be able to do that at this point in my evolution
At
because I,
least you're
I need
honest.
my own space. There was a couple that they fell in
There's a
love.
lot of couples that are doing that now.
Well, there's a couple that they bought two townhomes next to each other, and they cut a door in between it. So when they were kind of like done with it, they would go to their own separate parts and like that. And that worked out kind of well for them. I could live in a big mansion. So if there's any wealthy woman who has a gigantic mansion or a castle per se, and I could have like a wing, I think that could work out. So any royalty, I'm not too picky.
All right. New royalty on the line for you.
Well, Egan, you have like great awareness about the multiverse and creating from the energies of what you really do. Have you ever just gone out in the field with your meditation and really tried to work to create what you want, especially in a partner or mate? Guess
I've
that's
done that many times with many things. We call it magnetizing. And so, like,
Mhm,
for example, 25 years ago, there's a meditation set called Attracting a Soulmate. It's like
mhm.
these 8 meditations that you do when you kind of go to the soul plane, another dimension. You kind of say, "Hey, is anybody around here would like a relationship with me?" And then you kind of interact with these souls all in this higher dimension, and you come back to Earth, and then you're supposed to meet them. Well, I did it, and I was like, "All right," and I felt like a connection with one of these balls of light. And I'm like, "All right, well, maybe it's somebody local." Several weeks later, I walked into like a Halloween event, a dance. I saw this woman, started dancing with her, and then I was in the relationship for a couple of years. But I
Oh, wow.
recognized that it was her.
That's
Yeah,
badass. Why can't,
that's badass.
So
why
it
wouldn't
does
you
work.
engage in that again? What wouldn't you,
I met my twin flame. I met a woman. It was very, I won't go into the
Oh
circumstances, but
boy.
she was one year different from me in age. Our websites looked exactly like very similar, similar color scheme. It was very strange. She was from another country. She was visiting America, and I joined Tinder for like a week or a month or whatever. And just that week, because she was visiting for a couple of weeks, she joined it and we met. And
Oh,
that
interesting.
that was something that was a very profound experience. So I've met a number of my past soulmates. I had to clean stuff up. So it's not that I don't want to be in a relationship, but I've been more like a janitor in this life where I'm trying to clean up the stuff that I screwed up in the past and say, all right, let me see if I can fix this. And I'm sorry about that. And I'll help you. So I had to clean up a bunch of things. So multidimensionally, you're talking about spirituality. It's not just like, I found my partner. Now I'm happy. Now I have the good story and I'm looking good.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, did I heal this with my mother, my father? Here's a friendship. Here's a business thing. I'm trying to mop up things that from like, I've been on this planet for like 80,000 years, trying to get
But
on
isn't
this
that
thing.
what Earth School is for?
I know, I've been
It's,
here a long time too.
the janitor work in a way. I mean, yes, we have these moments of bliss. I mean, that's why we have these
Mm.
conversations. Like we're upgrading, we're evolving, we're growing consciousness, and we're,
I
helping
want to be the
everyone with the
CEO now. I don't want to
ascension.
be the janitor. I want to be the CEO. I want a nice little cushy office and like a nice, no, but it can be whatever you want. Some people now see, you might say, well, Egan's particular. He doesn't want somebody with tattoos and 10 nose rings and somebody who's actually nice. Boy, how demanding is he?
I
Now,
bet
other
you're
people
gonna
could
meet somebody
say,
like that.
other people could say, I'll just set, I'll adjust, I'll compromise. And so, and that's all relationships are too, because you're not always going to get everything you want. You're going to have conflict and disagreement. That's fine. And some people say, well, here's a body, I'm just going to accept this. This is what works for me. I can get certain needs met, and that works for them. And beautiful. Some souls, that just doesn't work for them because to me, I spent my whole life trying to be more transcendent and liberated and free. Now, if I get in a relationship with somebody and I have to cover myself up or play a game with them, what am I really doing? I'm going against my whole spiritual path. So I will eventually find somebody who's on the same wavelength. But I had to, as I said, the preface at the beginning, I constantly learn. I go through transformation, say, oh, I could do this and do that. However, I would say in the dating for myself, most of the people we were never compatible to begin with. We had certain things in common. It was never going to be long term. And whether
Yeah.
the relationship lasts 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, 50 years, they're all perfect because all relationships will end one day. They will end one day. So nothing lasts forever. So don't judge it how long your relationships are. You can be with somebody for 2 years and that was exactly what you were supposed to do. And sometimes you
Yeah.
have the kids and then you don't need the other person anymore. Okay, well that guy doesn't, I don't
Yeah.
want that guy here.
Well, I
I
think those are real. That's a real life journey, right? Like
yeah.
there's like moments, there's seasons, there's years. I think that everyone has their own plan in regards to that.
Well, yeah, I think in The Seat of the Soul, I forgot the author's name, but he spoke about how we used to get married in the past for survival, right? We needed the dual income. We needed to have two people that were able to help raise kids, do the household, someone to actually, and even before the unions were made because of survival for hunting and gathering and for, killing the meat, and then you have your village co-raising children. Now we are getting together, even in marriage contracts, from what he explains, as to grow the soul. And when you look at it from that perspective, then you can have much more grace around it having an ending, right? I was in a marriage before, and I was grateful for that experience, but I knew that at that point, and it probably lasted a couple years longer than it should have. I married my high school sweetheart, and I knew that we were growing up, we were becoming different people, but we fulfilled that contract. And we were very amicable when we split up. Luckily we didn't have any children, but there are a lot of people that do have children with their first contract,
We'll
so
now
it's just
stretch that
because of the
out
soul.
over into many lifetimes.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
dating a woman last year where I was with her, and I have the ability to recall past lives since I was with her. And suddenly I realized, oh, I could begin to see our other relationships that we'd had in the past, and then
Yes.
I could see one in the future.
Yes.
So if I don't make it this round, I'm going to have
Eh,
another dance with her another time. So I kind of look at it from that perspective because certain things you can't wrap up sometimes in one life, or it's very complicated. We're very multidimensional beings now. So it wouldn't make sense that we have to, we're not in survival anymore. We're more like in expression, in infinite
Yeah.
let's talk a
expression.
little bit about that,
Uh,
because maybe some people are not familiar with the idea of coming in and doing it again. So we have this soul group that we experience our lifetimes with. Some people may not know that on this call. I think many most will, but we're all in a different spiritual journey. So we have a soul group that comes in with us, and we play different roles for each other, right? So for you, you may have had that relationship before. In fact, I had remembrance whenever I was reading through Dolores Cannon's work. I realized that somebody who broke my heart was definitely someone from a past lifetime, that we came in to play that role of brokenheartedness. And once I realized he was playing that role for me, I was like, oh, this stream of remembrance came in, and no longer I didn't have the broken heart anymore, because I saw the story, the play, if you will, I guess the Maya, I can't remember, but anyway, the whole story, the play in front of me. I saw the character I was playing, and I saw the character he was playing. And then I thought, oh, and then I was able to release
Yeah.
that brokenheartedness,
We're,
because I
we're
was
all
like,
just playing, we're all just
exactly,
playing a character.
correct.
Yes.
I'm just a soul that's playing a character named Egan, a very interesting character, mind you, but I'm just a character, and I'll play another character next time. Maybe in the next life, I'll have the whole hustle show, and I'll be interviewing you, and I'll have another guy here, and then
That's
we'll put
right,
you on
right.
spot.
I love it.
Yes,
Just for
yes.
the sake of time, why don't you talk about your actual work and how you work with people and how, your coaching actually works?
Whenever people come to me, they want to transform something. So I just I tune in on the energetic level. And because I have done so much work on myself and in groups and all these other things, yeah, each person is different. A lot of relationship stuff does come up.
Mm,
Sometimes it's about finances, sometimes there's been health issues, whatever it is. But basically, I'm good at coaching them. I'm a good wingman. And so,
mhm,
what I had to develop over many, many years were strategies. So, when something comes up, I have a strategy about how to deal with it. And because I learned it through different, practicing different things. So, when somebody works with me, they'll say, well, this is a situation. I'll have a strategy. I call it a formation. It's like when you're, like in a football, they set up the lines and they have a formation so that when the two forces meet, they can kind of move the ball. Or in military battle, they have a formation. So
Yes.
people says, I want to go there. That's my objective. I say, okay, well, let's create a formation, and I help them with strategies so that they can move forward and clear whatever they need to clear. And I work on the psychic level. Sometimes it's the emotional level. But they usually get pretty good results if they stick with it. There's always
mhm.
solutions. And I was mentored by other people. So this is something where I went through a lot of my process, and then I'm transmitting to other people who are now going through that as well. So that's how I work on those different
Fantastic.
levels.
Egan
And be
did.
funny, and being funny and charming. And modest,
We
above all,
got that
modest.
part. If you are interested in a session with Egan, you can find his session and all the other speakers' special offers on the live page at houthustle.com/live. Again, that's houthustle.com/live. And we have a dashboard. We call it the dashboard so that you can watch these if you're watching the live stream or whether you're on Zoom. Uh, that's where you can find everything.
Hmm.
This is what I wasn't expecting this conversation at all from you. It's like every time we get on, we do something totally different.
Oh, how funny.
I've been
I
watching
love
a
it
lot of
though.
Osho. I've been watching a lot of Osho videos lately. And if you know Osho, he always has
Oh.
surprise. I think he kind of rubbed off on me a little bit because he says outrageous
You
things.
definitely got some energy of, yeah, I think, yeah, you got some energy for sure.
You have to have fun. You have to have fun with this too, because it's a serious.
Yes.
I mean, I was going to do a
Yes,
whole
too.
series about this. I have all these notes about this stuff, but then I'm like, you know what? We're just, everybody's looking at each other going, love me.
Agreed.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just
And
love me.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's almost like, what character do I have to put on for you to love me? The more I find, the more I take off, I find that I'm capable of loving too, right? It's like I
Beautiful.
feel, my daughter is adopted and she has a little bit of an abandonment issue. And so she's really kind of closed in and she wants to be received. Like there's no way in her world that she wants to be rejected. So she almost doesn't put herself out there because she wants to be, she doesn't want to be rejected because she's been rejected enough and she just wants to be loved. And, and I do the exact opposite. I'm just like, here I all am. It's all raw.
right, yeah,
It's
showing up could be showing up in her relationships as
Yeah,
well. I
absolutely.
know exactly what that's like as well. And so I would then choose relationships where my power, where I was totally giving it away, right? Very manipulative. And it wasn't until I decided to realize that, and even later, even after in my current relationship, like in my current marriage, like it wasn't till like the moment I realized that my worth comes from me and God, right? Like I am only like the only place where I can sit there. That's it. Nothing else determines my worth. Nothing except for me and with God, right? Me in unison with God. That's it. And after that, everything changed. The relationship that I'm in changed. The relationship with people changed. Like, I mean, I really, but it
Well,
took a long time for me to get
look at
there.
that wonderful transformation. When you hear about school systems, we have this whole thing in the news about like kids can't read. They're using AI, all these things. And so you're like, well, what are they teaching these kids in school if they can't read? And we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on this a year. But you know what? You know, we should be learning relationship skills.
We should be.
Like
Yes.
Yeah,
start
we
with there
should.
because, I don't know what they're teaching them.
Instead of hiding behind social media scrolling, we need to be learning how to talk to each other
Yeah.
again and look at each other. And that was one of the things I used to do in Origins, one of my events, like go around and look at each other like eye to eye. It would bring up so many things.
E-
It's
Even
like
even
that's the
e-
work
even
today.
NVC, nonviolent communication. This is something I
Hmm.
started to study over the last 10 years where, so for example, somebody, like with the woman who punched me. So I might have said, "Hey, wait a minute, what are you doing?" So another way
Yeah.
you could say it is, when you physically, it was a little bit confusing when you punched me in the arm so hard and it hurt. It reminds me of times when people have done unpredictable things that were hurtful to me. Really, I just wanted to be playful with you and get to know you. And so
Yeah.
there's a way to instead of talking about it in blame as opposed to being conscious in the communication. But both people have to want to do that. And that's training. And that's so we could talk about getting a relationship, attracting a partner, but then what do you do when you're in it? You have to
True.
learn how to communicate and
Yes.
and know
Yes.
yourself. And so that's a whole
Yes.
other thing.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
work.
It is work.
I'm tired.
Hey.
We do it with each one of you speakers. We're getting really good at this. Egan, any final words before we wrap up today's show?
Just thank you for having this event, and I would say to all the women who are looking for a partner, there's a lot of nice spiritual guys. Several of my friends, they're into all the same things I am, and we're trying very hard. And if you just kind of like approach us in a nice way and take things nice and slow and communicate your wants and needs and do it in a loving way, they'll reciprocate. A guy doesn't really need a lot, to be honest. If you just have peace of mind and you
Yeah.
throw him a couple of compliments and there's some other things there and there too, but it's we're pretty simple. If we find somebody, we usually will stick with them. And I sometimes,
Yeah.
so be open to learning and approaching different men and realize that a lot of us do feel like we're like in the hazmat suit approaching a bomb because we don't know what's going to happen next. So, just, act accordingly and you'll
Yeah.
find that you'll get a good result if you're just very nice and open and communicate.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You guys.
I have one last question though. With
Sure.
that woman, did you go up to her and say, it was hard for me to receive that, it was so unexpected, or did you just leave?
I ended up I got on social media and I started to message her a little bit
Mm.
and then she just disappeared.
Oh, because she
I
was
just,
just trying
she
to avoid you
disappeared.
at that point.
Yeah.
And
So,
you got creepy in her world or something.
yeah, I didn't want you got to be careful. That's the thing is you have to be careful because then like that's the thing that men face is that you can say, oh, you're stalking me, you're this. And I'm like, well, I'm just
Sure.
trying to, so you never know
Yeah,
because there's
yeah,
been a lot
yeah.
of cases,
No,
so.
I had a guy like that once to me, and he was just trying to be playful, but I was married. And then I
Ah,
was just kind of like, yeah, this is kind of creepy and I don't want to get involved. So I just
I
kind of
I
learned
do
from
have
a,
a PSA for men. Do not send pictures. Just don't send pictures. Don't. Don't need to see any of your stuff. It's
Yeah,
not a
those kind of
it's not,
pictures we don't want to
I
see.
know women,
Let
I
me
know.
note that down. Don't send junk.
No,
Yes,
do
I know that.
Don't send junk.
tell on your nail
What,
guy,
what did what did they do in medieval times? Did the guy like sort of sculpt something out of rock and then send it over? Like
Where'd that Michelangelo come from?
David?
I get that y'all want to see pictures. Women are not wired that way.
I've never
And
done
unless
that
they ask,
more than once.
do not just be sending them things over. I don't want to see no, and not even shirtless. Like unless we ask, don't, just don't, just don't.
Stop flirting with the Hare Krishnas, all right? I know they're known for this.
Oh, I've enjoyed the time here with you. We really have, and our audience really has too. Thank you so much for an enlightening conversation.
All righty. I
Nothing
bid you
else.
adieu,
We giggled
ladies.
a little. I bid you adieu. Thank you again.
You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have an exciting day here today. Up next, we've got Jewel Arns, and we're going to talk about manifestation in the 5D. And after that, we are going to play with one of my friends that was on my previous show named Ameribeth Atlantis. And she is going to talk about Atlantean times. So stick around. But right now, I wanted to take a brief break and introduce you a little bit to me and Leonka and our work and what we do in the world outside of just the show.
Yeah, why don't you
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about, since I talked a little bit yesterday about your work.
Yeah. So just a brief little story about who I am is I started way back in 2006, and I had this kind of near-death experience kind of event, though I didn't actually die. I just went under anesthesia and I woke up very differently. And after that, I started to have to navigate these multi-dimensional worlds because I didn't really understand it. And I met this work of access consciousness and worked a lot with Dr. Dane here and Gary Douglas, did almost all their classes at the time, and then really just started interviewing and exploring. And then through this work, I've really, kind of found my way in working with people. I'm a certified hypnotherapist at my core, and I do somatic work where we go into your body through hypnosis and try to hunt down some of those limiting locks. And then we open the door for hypnotherapy to whoop, give a window of light into it so that it can change it on that DNA repowering level. So that's one of the sessions that I would give to you when you put your name in the cauldron if you support us on social media this week, by the way.
Don't forget to send those over at team@househustle.com. So anytime that you post a comment onto our social media, be sure to send us a screenshot at team@househustle.com.
Yeah. I do this really cool Arcturian work with some light language and some guardian dragons, and that's today's gift. Although we are asking for a minimal contribution, if you use the coupon code dragons in our Dragon Voyage series, which is in both the newsletter, it's on the live page, and it's also in the shop, you use the coupon code dragons, you get my 7 Dragons series. And that's where it all began when I wrote my book in 2007 called 7 Dragons, A Guide to a Limitless Mind. Can we do a little light language and
Yes,
open up
let's
the
do it.
energy?
Let's do it.
The light language doesn't come across on these mics, I think, very well, though, because it sounds like music.
And then I can channel for y'all a little bit message
Let's
here
see. Let's see if we can open
in
up
the next break.
just a few, just a little bit during the breaks. Original sound for musicians. We're just going to try it for a minute. Okay. This is okay. So here's a little bit of the channeled information. What does that say? Turn on voice. isolation. Does that mean I want to turn it on, or does it mean I want to turn it off? I don't know. You may not hear any of
Can you
this.
hear? Let us know in the chat if you can hear any of this. If you're having trouble.
Can you hear this? No, anything? Nothing in the chat. Anybody write something in the chat?
You can.
Yes, you
they can
can.
see.
Okay, great.
It's hard to hear me. Okay.
All right. So going in, calling through, and they're inviting all of you to just re-engage, get connected, be here, be present, really, really come forth. This is a message about presence. It's about paying attention. This is a reminder that paying attention is being present. Hi, Diana.
She says, Jennifer, I love your work. Can you admit that person?
Yes, admitting. All right. Where in your body do you find that you want to run, that you want to not be here in all of you, in all the embodiment of you? Where is that in your body? Let's go hunt that down. Dragons like to use the word shackles today. So all the shackles that you have locking that in place where you won't show up, shine, be full out, all your weirdness, all your greatness, and all of you, would you be willing to release those shackles? Duality, polarity, Mother Earth, Father Time, all bets are on off Delphs, and return to sender with consciousness and love, and take a breath. Everywhere where you've locked this in place, everywhere where you love that you've locked this in place, everywhere where you hate that you've locked this in place, everywhere you love that you lock this in place, everywhere you hate that you lock this in place, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. All the spaces and places where you aren't an allowance of whatever is available for this change, will you release the shackles on that? And take a breath. Ooh,
Yes.
thank you. Gosh, that was a good one.
Our bets are off on.
Delves, research a sender in consciousness. One of the things that come through within these dragon voyages are that we have this opportunity to truly create our lives in each moment. And we just forget that we can. And we forget that we can, and then we remember we can, and then we forget that we can, and then we remember that we can. And we do this dance here on planet Earth.
It's called the hustle.
It's called the hustle. It's called the be do, be do. All the places where you get stuck in forgetting who you are, and you are in the do, and the facade, and pretend, and you won't come back and step into who you actually are. Would you destroy and uncreate?
Yes.
And take a breath.
Polarity, duality, for the earth, for the time. All bets are off on Delphs and return to consciousness and love.
Thank you. And take a breath. All right. That was our break for today. Do you want to tell them how they can get their name in the cauldron so that they can get a session for you or
That's
me?
right. All you have to do is just participate, make a comment on social media, and our social media name is How Hustle Live on Instagram and on TikTok. And then just search How Hustle, and you'll see our YouTube channel, and you can make a comment there. If you screenshot a copy of that comment to make sure that we see it, we'll make sure that we get you put into the cauldron. All right.
All right. Stopping recording.
And you'll be entered to win.
What's that?
I said, and then you'll be entered to win either a session Jeneth or myself. I do Akashic Records readings and we find your soul blueprint. It's really fun.
Jules, hello. Can you put your camera on? So I can see you.
Right here. Hi guys, how are
Hi.
you?
Hi, did you fix the volume and then my mic also? Can
You
y'all
guys
let us know?
you are hard to hear. You feel
Okay.
really far away.
I was
I have my
really
volume
loud
all the way
yesterday,
up.
so I made both of ours the same.
So she changed so we're gonna fix the mics right now.
How
Thank you.
how is my volume?
Let her know on the chat how her volume is.
I guess I should talk before I'm like
How's my volume now? No, just
it
kidding.
was completely silent.
Test, test. How is it going?
Okay, that is better. I can put my volume down. I had it all the way up before.
Okay, a little loud. Okay, so I'm gonna sit back. How are we good now?
Is mine too loud?
I don't think yours is.
All good. Okay.
All right. If you guys do get the Dragon series, I'm saying this off the recording. Those of you that put something in on the chat, will you please let me know what you think about it and what changes in your life? I would love to get a testimonial too off of them. All right, here we go.
We have a little bit of time to go over, so don't worry. We want to make sure you get enough time, Jules.
All good. How long does this go for?
An
We'll go
hour, but
to almost about 1:30 our central, which
our next person comes at 1:30, so we're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackard.
And I'm Leonka Reina.
This is the Hustle Mystic Morning Show, your community go-to for woo. Right now, we're talking with Jewel Arns, and we're going to talk about manifesting in the field, which sounds so simple, and yet the way that Jules explains it, it's actually quite profound. It really gave me a glimpse that this is quite a bit easier than how I had been making it from our last conversation. Jules, you just want to take a moment to introduce yourself to the newer audience and let's dive in. And I'd like to take our conversation deeper than we did last time.
Amazing. Yeah. So I'm Jules. I'm the founder and creator of Becoming BioQuantum. And really, BioQuantum is kind of a manifestation of just listening and doing over my entire life. I was given a technology when I was 5 years old, and it is a big part of how we use. I should say, to activate the 12-strand DNA system. So, a big part of our work is shifting out of a two-strand DNA system, which most of us recognize as kind of the way that we live our life. Most of that is based in programming or primal existence. And now we are shifting into the 12-strand DNA system. And that is very much what we're talking about today, is the consciousness from which that can be experienced and how we can start to reorganize consciousness into a new way of living. And I also just going to drop a little something here is that I'd also just love to kind of talk about the big shift that we just were experienced on the 8-8 to the 8-12 and how we can take advantage of the new mechanics of reality to support the ascension of consciousness.
Fabulous. Let's start right there. We talked a little bit about it yesterday in Amba John Rose's show. And so
And I did a little
we'd
bit.
love to hear your insights.
And I also do a Mystic Space Weather News. So I also talked a lot about the cosmology that we're experiencing that's very unique to this time in humanity. So
Mm.
I'd love to really get your take on this as well.
Yes, so the information that I channel what I call the Astrolema, which are the divine architects of the DNA. They are the ones that gave me the technology when I was 5. They've been with me my entire life, and they also gave me the ascension, the 6 steps of cell ascension, basically teaching how to turn on the 12-strand DNA system, and then how to operate within it, because our DNA is the most advanced technology that there is. So back in the beginning of the year, Astrolema was brought in, and we can play with these today if we have some time, brought in what they were calling the magnetic disk of non-gravity. And they started doing activations where they would put the disc on above the head and the disc below the feet and shift all the particles of the body into a state of non-gravity to start to get the body used to holding a state of non-gravity. And it wasn't until, oh gosh, months later that they brought in and they were showing that on the 8th, that we would be entering a portal that would be connected to 8-12. And during this time that there were particles that they were calling Issachar particles, and these particles can only be activated through divine frequency. And we can obviously activate certain frequencies from our DNA to release that frequency. And that's part of what we can talk about later is how we can actually use our DNA to create with these particles.
Love it.
So on the 12th at 10:33 a.m. Eastern time, we shifted into 7 seconds where we went into a state of non-gravity. So this happened in our body, it happened in our mind, and it happened in our reality. And when the particles came back into a state of what we could say gravity, that we were in a new mechanics of reality. So for some of us, we can call that the 5th dimension. For some of us, we call it heaven on earth, the new earth. And so if you measured the particles, which this is the kind of, I guess you could call it maybe ironic, is that what say tools of being able to measure particles of the 3rd dimension cannot measure the particles of the 5th dimension. And so we can measure that there was a frequency shift, but we cannot actually measure the mechanics of the reality with the tools from which we are. So quantum mechanics, quantum physics, all of that is going to start to shift, and we're going to start to see a lot of scientists breaking through
Yes.
new levels and all of
Yes.
that.
I'm excited for this time
Wow.
because I love science and the way in which the science has not necessarily caught up in the past, right? So it's been held back for a lot of different reasons, but I do love that scientists are becoming much more brave in the way that they are breaking from the norm to actually, and also corroborating all the things that we've known from ancient wisdoms, right? So
Mm.
it's exciting times. I'm sorry, go ahead. I
Oh
just
my
felt
goodness.
excited.
Well, and I've had glimmers, but couldn't articulate it like that.
She just had a dream that
Yeah,
sounds very
it
similar.
it was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's very clear to me that we are limited because of the way our DNA is defined.
Mm.
And yet, as a infinite creator, it seems that we have ability to change not just the epigenetics, but also the strands of our DNA. Now, this is galactic telepathic information that I don't know what's true or not when I say it. I just know that I am starting to channel and I get this little bit of insight. So I'm asking you.
Yeah, so I feel like we all of us have 12 strands, and all of us
Mm,
have 12 strands that are active. Really,
mm,
what is kind of interrupting that is our consciousness. It's the way that we're
mm.
interacting because we've been taught to use consciousness as an identity. So an example of that is this is a chair. This I am this. I am
Yes.
that.
That's my
Even
dream.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like identity. Wow. Interesting.
And so we're moving, and that's what is also happening in this reorganization of the state of non-gravity that we just went through, is that now that the particles have landed in a new, and that has happened in our bodies as well. And so a lot of us are having sensations of feeling different, that maybe all of a sudden we're we're like a new person, maybe in the same reality that we were in or the same life we were living, but all of a sudden we're showing up differently. And but part of that is the DNA. So because of this gravity shift, we are organically going to start experiencing the other 10 strands, and each strand has a technology. So some of those technologies are telepathy, it's teleportation, it's particle shifting, because we are in a state now where particles are a lot less dense, and especially within our bodies. So we're going to start to experience what our bodies are, with instant healing. I mean, that's something I've been experiencing for years now, of watching cuts heal right in front of my eyes. And all these things that we thought were superhuman at one point are going to start to come online because of the shift. So when you're talking about the DNA, for me, it's and I also love that science has kind of caught up with this as well, is that is they're the divine codes. It's we are They're our divine state of being. It's the intelligence of source. And when we start to use consciousness as a tool instead of an identity, what happens, and that's the reorganization that we are in now, is that intelligence is starting to activate in the DNA, and we're having the experience of that intelligence. So instead of observing the intelligence, or instead of observing what we kind of our reality and how maybe that and it's changed, we're starting to release our consciousness to needing to identify, and moving out of observation into what I call attuning. So, meaning that when that frequency of the intelligence of source is releasing into our body, we're staying in a state of allowing, we're staying in a state of openness. And in that state of openness, it is attuning our consciousness to pick up on what that intelligence is. But let's say once we pick up on it, we're not grabbing hold of it and saying, this is what it is.
I
We're
gotcha.
continuing to let it take us into that place. And then it becomes this really fun dance of creation, because there will be times we're asked to do things,
Mm.
but we're not doing it out of expectation or holding on to what we think is going to happen. That's the part of consciousness that starts to get in the way. It's when we stay in that fourth, what I call the fourth level of consciousness, where we're just constantly listening and doing, and not defining or observing what it is that we are doing.
Uh-huh.
Because by definition, we create separation, and we collapse down
Yes.
the wave particle, where when it's still in a wave, it still has infinite possibility. So that makes total sense.
It
Um,
does, yes.
Yeah.
And those Iskimban's particles that I was talking about, just because we're kind of going into a little bit of science, these are particles that I guess you could say that a lot of science is calling it black matter, because they're particles that kind of are there, but are they particles? Are they not particles? And what they are
yeah.
is they're the particles of where we're moving into. Because if you
Okay.
think about, our reality has been created through observation, and a lot
Yes.
of that observation creates, just like what you're saying, distortion.
Yes.
And now that we're shifting consciousness into a state where we're allowing the intelligence of our DNA to use our consciousness, meaning we get out of the way,
Oh,
we let this intelligence take over, it's able to move into these particles that before, because they can't exist in observation,
That
but
makes
they
sense.
can exist through the intelligence of source.
wow.
That makes total sense.
Wow. I just got
I
that
love
on a
that
whole
you got
different
that.
level. Yeah. I just feel, and I almost feel like maybe we should say it again for the audience because if it just landed for me, and I've done a lot of work. Wow.
And I follow a lot
Oh,
of quantum
it's
physics, so
so
and that makes total sense to me.
let me say pieces of it back and then you fill in the gaps. So, and it's so funny. Have been in this work where it's like no conclusion, no perception, no projection, expectation, separation, and judgment type of work, right? And I mean, even the harm of what a projection could do upon somebody else, because that is a frequency wave, that is a distorted
That's an observation.
idea, observation within the field, right? If we truly are in allowance of every single moment and receiving in every single moment, then we just respond energetically. No, okay.
No, 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 no.
Am
Go
I,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
feel like you're like, wait,
No, no,
stop.
no, go ahead. No, I was going to ask a question after that. Go ahead.
I mean, is this how, I mean, what else is there to add to this? Like, this is how we be an infinite being.
Okay, now let me ask my question.
Okay.
When you're talking about the consciousness working with allowing the DNA to work with the consciousness, is it something that we're actually doing, like where what Judith is describing to me, that still feels like we are doing something,
Mm,
where by making a choice to make a no judgment, right? Like that we're still
uh-huh.
doing that consciously. Now,
Mm.
what you're saying feels like it's okay. When
Okay.
you're shaking your head, I got, and I'm saying this for the people on the audio. When you're shaking your head, that makes me know that this is a little bit different than that, though. Okay, so explain
So
that to us.
teach us.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, the easiest way is to have the experience, and
Well,
because
let's.
it's hard to talk about, because consciousness will keep identifying even with everything
Sure.
that we
Yes.
say, right?
Yes.
Yes, and
All
the
right, so this
definition's gonna
is, I
keep.
can't
Yeah.
remember if we did this. We might have done this on the last show, but this is my absolutely, it's the best way to know the difference, because
Yes.
it
Yep.
teaches consciousness what it is to identify and to make those conscious choices and interact, and then to let the intelligence of source to take over and what that feels like. All right, so the first exercise we're going to do is everybody can shut their eyes. And as you're shutting your eyes, you're going to imagine a sunflower. And as you're imagining the sunflower, you're just going to bring that image. And even if you are not somebody that is visual, you can have the sense, because you have a memory of what a sunflower looks like. Just have your experience of bringing up the memory of a sunflower. And then as you're holding this image of a sunflower, pay attention to what your body is feeling. Pay attention to how much energy it takes to hold the image of the sunflower. Maybe even pay attention of, I like a sunflower, I don't like a sunflower. Maybe you're making a field of sunflowers. Like once you have a sunflower, it wants to show you different places, that how you would imagine a sunflower, different ways. And now, before we open our eyes, just one more time, notice what your body feels like. Notice what your consciousness feels like as you are holding the image of a sunflower. Okay, now go ahead and open your eyes. All right, so that is how we use consciousness on a day-to-day level, pretty much. We abstract something, we bring it, we have our ideas about it, we have our experience about it, we know what our body feels like having that experience. Now I want you to shut your eyes again. All right, so now we're gonna ask to, well, we'll just have the experience. We'll just do a little activation. We're going to activate, so if you want to bring your consciousness into the center of your pineal gland, which is in the center of your physical brain. So just, if you don't know where it is, that's okay. Just intention is enough. And inside the pineal gland is the 12-strand DNA system. This is an operating system of source. And we're just going to allow this little white blue light to begin to activate in the center of your pineal gland. And then it's going to expand. And as it expands, allowing it to expand your consciousness to encompass your entire mind. And from the 12-strand DNA system, through the frequency of source, we're going to ask to release a sunflower. And as it releases, you're going to relax your consciousness and move it into a state of allowing and feeling that frequency of source, activating a sunflower in every cell of your body. It's almost as if your body becomes this electric frequency, vibration. It's releasing a divine sunflower. And you're having the experience in a state of allowing. And if your consciousness wants to come in to name it, surrendering your consciousness again into the experience. And then just as you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes.
I'd
So
like
the
to hear what you
second,
guys are saying in the chat.
yeah, I'd love to know
Yeah.
too. So the second sunflower is when you are moving your consciousness into a state of openness, of allowing, and you're allowing the intelligence of source to show you what a sunflower is. And in that state, it's also recognizing when consciousness wants to name what is being shown and even surrendering that. So this is an exercise that it obviously will become a practice, because most people are, how am I supposed to live my life in that state of consciousness? Because we are so identified in our consciousness that we feel as though if we didn't have consciousness in the way that we're using it as an identity, that we would not be able to operate. And the opposite is actually true, is that when we start to practice and we let this intelligence take over, everything becomes perfect, because we are operating on a divine level. We're operating in a perfection level. We're operating of 12 strands versus 2. Because just think of what we were able to do on 2-stranded DNA. Just think
Yes.
what we're going to be doing when we are fully active at all 12. But we can't get there through our programmed mind, because our programmed mind is connected to the primal experience of our body, which is in the 2-strand DNA system. So this is going to expand our consciousness into running it through 12 strands, where the intelligence that is stored there will take over, because it doesn't need consciousness to exist. It's already perfect. It's fully intelligent. It knows everything. It doesn't need to observe what it knows, because it knows everything.
Wow. It's like I've heard that information before, but don't live my life in the experience of that exactly, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
It's a
or
practice.
I mean, some of it I do, and some of
Love
it I
that you said
don't.
that it's a practice
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, let's talk about practicing it beyond being a flower. Like, how do
Mhm.
we practice this where, okay, if I became the sunflower in all of my cells, how do I become, the person that is that person in each moment?
Well, I would say the biggest takeaway is what does your body feel like right now? So it's after we
Mm.
have, at least for most people, after the second sunflower, their body feels more energized,
That's
expanded,
exactly it.
still, clear, clean, pure. It's divine. And so
Yes.
that's the first part, is what does my body feel like? Is it in that state of the divine present, or is it in that first state? Because if it's after the first state, if we went back into it, you would come back out of it and you would feel denser, heavier. You would
Sure.
be more in your mind. And so that's the first step, is knowing the difference,
Mhm.
right? Because that's where consciousness is still going to have a part in this, because that is the practice, is where am I? Am I in my 2-strand DNA system, or am I in my 12? If I'm in my 12, I know now what that feels like. So when I
Mhm.
start to live my life, am I in the second feeling, or am I in the first? And we just bring it into practice. So next time you go to brush your teeth, activate, what is it to brush my teeth, in the divine
Oh, wow.
frequency. And we start just doing things that our body is already knows how to do without having to think about it. And we start practicing it then. And then our body starts to know, oh, I can actually do things here. I can wash the dishes. I can fold the laundry. I can maybe not drive right now, but eventually drive. And we start to see that it's actually really fun to do. Even things like brushing our teeth becomes a divine action. And then when we're maybe taking a walk in nature, we can activate that frequency. And what I notice, at least, is that everything becomes like it's the almost like you're on vacation. It's like your
Mm.
first time ever experiencing
Yeah,
something over
Yes.
and
that's what I
over
call new
again.
eyes, like
Yeah.
looking around with new eyes.
Yeah.
When I sometimes I find myself trying to create my life from my past, and I was going, so of course the summit, right? And I'm thinking, this summit compared to last summit, because that's what you do in business, right? Or whatever it is, right? Or show business, whatever you do. And so when I walked through the door instead, into the studio, I was like, no, I'm going to create today with my new eyes, as if it's a totally new experience that I've never had before, and let consciousness unfold instead of trying to collapse down
Mhm.
what my expectations would be.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, let's talk
Thank you.
about the difference between the allowance of just allowing the moment to show up versus actively creating in this way.
Right. Well, and that's where I feel like it gets really fun, because let's just say we are brushing our teeth and we have that divine frequency turned on and we're in that state of allowing, because in that state, we're not observing. Well, what are we not observing? We're not observing our thoughts. We're not even observing our action. We're in a state where what I call like the abstract, or in a state of expansion and stillness. We're in the experience of source. And in that experience is most often when we're going to get this profound, what we could call a download or an insight, or a message, and it's very clean. And then once that comes through, there's going to be a part of us where it'll hit our consciousness. So it's saying, okay, pay attention. This is when I need your consciousness to pay attention to the message that I guess gave you. But then
Wow.
what we do with that message is also our responsibility, because what we normally want to do is, oh my gosh, I got this amazing download and I can't believe it. And then we
Yes.
start to create this reality around the download.
Mm.
But what's being asked of us is that in that moment when it was received in the purity, the more pure we can, because once we receive the message, it's up to us to immediately go back into the second sunflower. So it's like, okay, I received this message. So maybe instead of a sunflower, it's what was the message? Okay, now I have received this message, and now I'm going to move into the sunflower again so that I can receive the message from a space of openness, and I can allow it to move into the particles. Because what we feel like is, well, then I'm not doing anything, right? But you are, is what it's doing, is it's starting to solidify the particles in those Isikompot's particles, because those are because eventually, you guys, we're going to move into instant manifestation,
That's what I was
Yeah.
asking. I was going to
not
ask
from
that.
our mind, but because we're going to start to live this way. And so when where consciousness is needed to bring the divine frequencies to connect into these particles, they're already solidified. It's when we get in the way that they actually become a timeline and versus a manifestation of those particles. So it's the way that we're using consciousness, right? It's like we get out of the way. I mean, how many times have we heard this? It's like we've heard it,
Right.
but now I feel like we're finally getting it. It's like,
Yes.
oh, okay.
I feel like I'm finally getting it. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I
I think
mean,
at a
I
conscious, I think on a collective level, a lot of people are really starting to get this because it is that time where
Mhm.
a lot more people are actively seeking too, and the truth will always be revealed. So I think that, and it's a really beautiful gift that we get to, showcase your work here and explaining this and having more people have this awareness, if you will, of how it truly works,
Yeah,
and how we can not even have to do something, but be.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean
And it
that
doesn't,
every one of the examples on the chat about the sunflower, it's like I became the sunflower,
yes.
right?
yes.
So if we want to do it in relationship or in health,
Yeah.
I guess what Jonathan's probably trying to get at is how do we use this in our real lives? Like, how do we
yeah,
use this every day to,
Yeah.
I feel like
So
you're telling us, not telling us.
it, well, it because it's not,
And
yeah, I
that's
get it.
something to tell.
I will
Yeah.
say it, but for me, it's the experience, right? Because it's
Hmm.
through the experience that it's because our mind isn't going to take us there, right? I think we all can agree that or at least I hope so. And I would go even as far as consciousness is not going to take us there.
Oh,
It's how
gotcha.
we're using consciousness that will. And it's so consciousness wants to identify, it wants to know, it wants to project, right? All of those things. I want to manifest this. Now I'm going to project it and I'm going to make it happen, right? Or, oh, I have to wait for the universe to bring it to me.
Right,
Both
Hmm.
are
right,
wrong.
right,
Both are wrong.
right. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what do we do? Well, this is where intention can become kind of like you're pressing enter on the computer system, right? So we can have an intention of, oh, I would like to experience the divine frequency of maybe you have an injured knee of my knee. I want to experience what it is for my knee to be in the divine frequency, have all 12 strands activated to see what that experience could be like. So when you're asking for that, it's creating almost like a data program that's uploading into the 12 strand DNA system. It becomes an intention. And then we press, okay, now I'm going to press go, and that second sunflower is going to start to activate. Well, the more that we stay out of the way and we stay in the state of allowing, well, what does that mean? Well, go live your life, right? And then also, as you're going through your life, be open and curious. So instead of going and looking for evidence, what changed, right? It's like, do I feel lighter? I feel more alive. I feel more expansive. I can feel the divine working through me. I don't have to understand that. I'm just going to keep surrendering and I'm going to keep asking divine, if you have a next step for me, show me what that is. But until I get that message, I'm going to be still. I'm going to be in trust. And then the moments that I want to go into, yeah, but it's not working. This is
Yeah.
happening, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Then it's
yeah.
like, oh, just give me strength, give me stamina. I surrender. I devote myself to the stillness until I receive the next. And that's all. You just keep surrendering. And I even go so as far as I submit. I don't
Hmm.
even surrender anymore. Take over because
Lovely.
I know
Wow.
what it's like for me
Yeah,
to be doing it.
that's much.
Wow. I really, I mean, I'm kind of going on, well, we have all these like things that we have to do, right, to keep the show running. And I'm kind of like, how can I be in that energy of just listening to the whispers,
Mm.
on what is required and what isn't required and what's required. And it seems almost that, that would be the surrender and the growth of an
I even
organization
I even
in
like the
some
way
way.
that she used the word submit
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, go ahead. take the
It's like take the
let's take
wheel.
the lead. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've tried to do it my way, and for a little while it worked, right? For a little while I was able to action myself into results, but I realized that that it doesn't work that way anymore.
Well, it's also exhausting,
It
right?
Yeah.
is.
It's
It is. And
exhausting.
that's the old hustle. That's why we
Yeah.
really wanted to really redefine what it meant for folks. And I love that you brought that in as a submit to taking,
Mhm.
like, go ahead, I got you, go ahead.
How how d-
I don't
how
even have words.
how do you think that opening up our consciousness and these strands of DNA are going to open up recall and remembering of
Mhm.
what we are in the field?
Oh, I love this question because this is, I think, one of the most fascinating parts is because of the way that we experience reality is from the programming of our past.
Mhm.
That
Right.
it's based on memory and or projection, right? Or projection into the future. And so as our consciousness is reorganized and the intelligence starts to take over, it doesn't mean that we don't remember, but it's data. It becomes data, it becomes information, and that information isn't running through a timeline. It's not running through stored programming on a cellular level.
That makes
it's um
sense.
it's all of a sudden a memory becomes an access of divine data. And so what it does on a healing level is it allows people to let go of trauma on a very quickly, because it's not the trauma of a two-strand DNA system. It's not trauma that is happening right now because our body, our cell is held on to that memory. All of a sudden, and this is really what people keep asking. I actually had a woman email me this morning, and she was like, well, what is suffering going to be in the new mechanics of reality? And I'm like, that's not for us to define. Like, that's the last thing I
Right.
want to do is go
Right.
define that. It's like,
Right.
find out what it is. And part of that is going to be letting go of the attachments of what we know and I mean, if you just think, if you had something happen that you've never had happen and you had no access point to compare it to anything else, and what would happen? And what would happen if the mechanics of reality were only supporting that experience in the divine experience? What would that be? And that's where we are right
I
now.
love
It's
it.
it's like we don't get to define that. It's now being defined by source, and we get to have the experience of that.
Well, is it being defined by source or is our higher self, infinite self, the one that's taking the wheel?
For me, it's source, because even that feels like a separation from source.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, well, there's this higher version of me. And I mean, we have I mean, all of us are living on a galactic timeline right now where we are galactic and we can tap
Hmm.
into that, we can express that, we can channel that. But even that is an expression of source. And so in one state, we feel like, oh, well, my higher self is, well, that's separate than the self I am now. Or is it, I just activate the purest frequency that there is? Why would I not just go directly
Right.
to source and have that? It's already encoded in my DNA. That's our innate state of being. Even so much so that our DNA is actually an ascension map. And we all have a map that we came in here to ascend through. So if we see it as there's 12 different states, and you guys, that's not even the end, right? That's only the beginning.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
only
very
the
cool.
beginning.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I love that you get so excited about it too, because that's how I felt. That's so cool. Well, what do you, I don't even want you to, I don't want you to define it. I don't want you to tell me. Like, what do you sense that is? But
Oh, beyond. Well,
yeah.
so our 12-strand DNA system it's the divine operating system, right?
Okay.
Like, so when this is part of the ascension process, is that as consciousness is moving into a new state of being, is that it starts to run through the DNA, and we can activate different technologies, have those frequencies turned on, moves through consciousness, and that is teaching consciousness more and more to become the intelligence. But in the beginning, we learn to use the operating system, right? We
Yeah.
activate it, we learn to interact with it until we fully become it, right? And so all of a sudden, then consciousness enters the intelligence of source, then the operating system isn't needed anymore. And we ascend into a different DNA system, which is actually stored in the mitochondria. And the mitochondria DNA is where the body will start to operate from. And that's when we'll be, we'll be out of separation altogether. We'll become the light body
Love
completely.
it.
Wow. It's so interesting how people land in their positions in the summit because yesterday night we ended in this conversation on how to repattern your DNA. And
Mm,
she was literally showing me that software system that you just spoke of, and kind of like how I had an app running and how I could basically blow up the app entirely and recode it.
yeah.
What is your way of doing that? If I find that I've got this like suffering app in my software
That's a great
system that
question.
keeps running, how do I get rid of the app entirely and create from a land of abundant overflow of the
I
divine?
feel like I want to raise my hand again.
Do me,
Well,
do me.
so what I'll do is first like show you that depending on where you are consciously, that answer is going to be different.
Mhm.
So what I think I'll do, I'll go through the 6 steps of cell ascension that will eventually bring us into the mitochondria.
Okay.
So first step is learning how to use consciousness
Mhm.
in the correct way. Because if you aren't able to do that, then you will always loop. You will always loop back into your programming. So that's kind of what we've been talking about this whole time,
Yes,
is
yes,
moving from
yes.
the first sunflower to the second. The second level of cell ascension is teaching the body that it can shift identity. And that would be kind of the reprogramming. So if you recognize that you have an app that's running a belief system that's not serving you, you can take the app out and you can reinstall a new one. So you're teaching the cells that they can shift from one identity to the next. And you do that over and over. And then
Oh,
your
yes.
consciousness is having the experience of that, right? Because once you put in a new app,
Mm.
your consciousness then has to open up to the reality of what that new app is doing. So
Yeah.
instead of going back into the old program, it has to be like, oh, well, how is this new app gonna work? Like, right? We say like, oh, it's gonna show me how to work it. And so it starts to give you a new identity. So it's working with consciousness. That is really step one on the physical level of cell ascension. Once the
Mhm.
body knows that it can shift from one identity to the next, it shifts into, that's all on a cellular level. At that point, it actually moves into the DNA, and then the DNA starts to code. So just like a computer
Oh.
system, you're going to start to like recode, but the codes are teaching the body that it can not only shift identity, but it actually can identify as frequency. So
The
all of a
whole
sudden,
operating system.
the whole operating system it becomes a frequency. So instead of saying I am, so let's just say the first one is the I am. So I am unworthy to I am worthy. I am whatever. I am not good enough to I'm superior, or I'm magnificent. I am empowered, even to the place where I am divine, because
Mhm.
it's still an identity. So once the body recognizes, oh, even to say that I am divine is still a separation of source,
Oh, wow.
then what it does is it moves into, oh, but I am the frequency of source. So it takes off the I am, and it starts to move into the DNA, where the body starts to recognize, not only can I shift identity, but I can actually exist as frequency, and that the frequency has information. It can be recoded. It can be, so then we're not recoding on a physical level or an identity level, we're recoding through frequency. So if you go on a particle level, we just went from density to a wave state,
Yep.
or particles that are loose that can be altered, attuned, do different
Yeah.
frequencies. You can go from I'm sad to I'm joyful just by turning the frequency on and off. So the body starts to recognize, oh, this is cool. It's a lot easier to shift when I'm in frequency than when I'm
Yes.
in identity. That's step two, a
That
cell
makes sense.
ascension. So the body now recognizes I am frequency. I can shift frequency. I can identify in frequency. Why am I even going to go into the I am anymore? Why am I even going to go into like actual software where I'm taking things out and putting things in when I can just go into frequency and just adjust it? That's the second level. Then we move into the operating system. So once the body recognizes that it's frequency and that it can adjust frequency, is when you can fully move into the access of the technologies of the DNA. And so there's three levels of that, and that's kind of what we're experiencing. So the first level is to shift consciousness through the operating system. So it starts to move through the ascension map. They're activating technologies. It's taking over consciousness, and consciousness is starting to let go. The next step is turning on the operating system and having it run through the actual body. So it starts to ascend that our body is just a liver. And this part, it starts to ascend that actually all the body is one technology. And the body starts to recognize, oh, I am multidimensional, but it's based on a technology. So an
Wow.
example of that would be activating, let's say the second strand is connected to the fascia system. And when the fascia system is turned on through the technology of the DNA, it becomes a network of an intelligence that can start to shift the body from observing its environment to recognizing the frequency of source, where it starts to pick up on the intelligence of source and stops observing. Well, why is that important? Well, we all know the epigenetics is always observing the environment. So that strand of DNA
It makes
actually
total
shifts
sense.
the body to a new state of being. And then
Yes.
the last stage is when you activate the technologies to shift particles of the reality. So it's shifting reorganization of consciousness, reorganization of the particles of the body, and then reorganization of how the particles interact within a reality.
And it
Makes
can shift the environment too, right? At that
That's the
state.
last stage. So I'm actually getting ready
Uh-huh.
to do the last DMT class. It stands for Divine Molecular Technology,
Oh,
where
wow.
we're going to be turning on the technologies, where we're going to be doing things like particle shifting, teleportation.
my
We'll be
mind went
doing
to spin boot, spin whatever spoon bending, but like it's actually like yes, teleportation, like all of those things that in the past we
And we're
didn't.
not talking about it. We're going to actually do it. I think that's the
Correct.
Yes.
biggest thing is like, we all know this, like in ourselves, right? And it's so easy
Yeah.
to talk about, but now it's
Yeah.
time to not talk about it and actually do it.
I hear you.
So so now I'm like, did I miss a step? Like, how do you know all this? How do you know
It
I
was
this?
knew you were gonna ask that. I
That's so
knew
weird.
I
That's
knew
why
it.
I'm connected here,
I
man.
love, so when I was 5,
I was gonna say
I,
six,
I
but
know.
yeah.
I never
this
remember
the
you said that.
technology is when I first came in. So I've been working with the technology my whole entire life.
Hmm.
And when I was in 2013, up until that point, everything I did was reprogramming the brain, right? People would come to me, like we would talk, they would say what program they were working on, what they were trying to shift. They would lay on my table, I'd put my fingers in their brain and I would run frequency and rewire their brain into a higher frequency so that they could come out of it and rewire their mind. Everything was through the mind. And then I had a spine injury. And I was told that I would never use my left arm again, that I would be in pain for the rest of my life. And I was laying on my healing table and I just said, you know what? If this is how I'm supposed to be for the rest of my life, I'm good. I will make the best of it. But if there is something else I'm supposed to do, show me what that is. And I felt this frequency, like I could feel my neck cracking, my spine cracked all the way down, and a frequency activated in my DNA, and I was healed instantly. I got off the table. I was instantly able to use my left arm. I didn't even know that it happened. I didn't even know I was using my left arm because I was in such an altered state.
Wow.
Wowzers.
No, I've got
And
the
so
chills
after
like
that, I
crazy.
was like, oh my gosh, it's in the DNA. And after, like, and it was just like one thing after, like the divine treasure hunt. But
Yes.
it just from there, I was brought to the Alchemy of Ormus, which showed how to bring consciousness into a different state, which I was given. And I mean, we can go on and on because it's been going on for such a long time. But I was basically, okay, now you do this, now you do this, now you do this. I had no idea where it was going. I actually didn't know until last July. I thought everything that I was having was coming, it's just, I would just hear it and I would do it. I would hear it and I would do it. I hear it and
That's
I
the
do it.
submit, right?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
the summit.
I love that so
Wow.
much, y'all. Like, just take a page out of this just for a second,
Mhm.
so that you can see what might be available for you. I'm just
Because it's
putting
so
that out there.
interesting, because the more that I've done this work, especially in the last 2 years, I keep getting these visuals and these guided this information. One of it was these two serpents. Uh,
Mhm.
and I know that those two serpents were supposed to represent DNA. It's over there on my board over there because I was starting to get these visuals, right? And then there was this book that I heard was about DNA called Cosmic Serpent. And so it's like I keep following some dots quietly in my own life,
Yes.
but I almost am like, well, wow, I am getting closer to that submit, with almost like not even realizing it. Like I'm not doing it for the show. I'm literally just curious. And it also now, because we do the show this way, it comes up that way.
Yeah.
Wow. So that is the growth of consciousness, kind of allowing this submit, surrender. I actually even like the word submit better.
I knew you would.
It just, she's like, as soon as I said it, Jenna's gonna like it just as good. We share mind.
A lot. A lot.
Mm.
Um, so when you say that you kind of didn't know where this, I think this is kind of important for people to hear, just because sometimes it's inspiring,
Yes.
because sometimes we have people come on here. I've had speakers that I've worked with, but I also love knowing that they had a human experience in and of itself,
Mm.
to where they're now sharing, this wonderful, beautiful information. But to hear that you too are like, I didn't know where this was going, that gives us a little bit of reprieve,
Yeah.
and grace of our in and of ourselves, to allow this unfolding,
Hmm.
uh, of this geometry.
Because talking about manifestation, we want to rush it. We want it
Yeah.
now because we know that it all works in this now moment, right? So it's like here, now.
But will you take us through a little bit, like when you were saying, as of July, I didn't, because I was hanging on every word, girl. I still
Yeah.
didn't know where we were going.
Right. Yeah. So basically, one other thing that did happen in that time of period was my best friend passed away.
Mm.
And when he died, we had a pact that I would follow him. And I did. And that is actually part of how I got the alchemy of Ormus. It was this whole experience. And the reason that I'm bringing that back up is that uh, I always had this experience where I always was just given this information. Another experience is another friend of ours died, and he actually showed up in my kitchen and he said, get a pen and paper, and I am going to work through your body and I'm going to write everything I'm going to write out. And what he wrote out when I got done were quantum equations, or so I
Wow.
thought.
Mhm.
And I was like, and I asked, I said, and he's like, what? I'm like, what is this? And he said, this is the inversion of the cell, and you're going to understand it one day. And now I do. Not only that, but the equation are the exact equations that are stored in each strand of DNA that we can actually access. And when they're accessed, just like an equation now, it's not measuring a particle, it's activating a particle of the body. And so that's all kind of came full circle. Well, all of this was just my experience, right? I just like you, Jenna. I was like, oh, I got that, and I went and did this, and I did this
Yeah.
and this.
Yeah.
Well, last July, I was like, oh, okay, this is it. I have the 6 steps. Like these are now we're going to repeat them, and this is how we ascend the cells. And I'm having the experience. Like, look at this. I can cut myself, and it's going to heal right in front of your eyes. I was like,
Wow.
okay, this is it. Like, where else are we going to go? And then all of a sudden, I was sitting out on my patio just doing my thing, and the blue men, the ones that gave me the technology, came back,
Mm.
and I'm getting chills. Like they're here, like they're
Yes,
hanging
so
out.
much. Yes.
They came and they said, "Okay, well, you did it." And I was like, "I did what?" And they said, "You activated your DNA to a high enough frequency that we can now come in and start channeling through the DNA, because there was no way to access the frequency that's stored in the DNA until it was fully active." And I was like, "Well, who are you?" 'Cause
Oh,
I've never wanted to name them. They were always just the blue men. I mean, they've been the blue men since I was 5. And they said, and when they said their name, they just they like kind of like put an equation into my mind, and they gave me the equation of who they were. And I said, "What does that mean?" And they said, "We're the divine architects of the DNA. We are the ability to tap into the DNA, activate source intelligence so it can reorganize the way your mind, body, and reality are experienced." And I said, and so as I'm like, "Okay, so why do I see you outside of myself?" And they said, "Because this whole time you have had enough strands active that we could project the particles by activating your DNA, connect into the particles where you could see the particles, but it was an expression of the DNA that you're already holding." And I was like, "Okay, I get that. I totally understand that." And so anyway, so the what we
Yeah.
call them now is the astroluma, because we can't really say an equation. And so
I
they are
gotcha.
now named, and that's so that was kind of like when it became full circle, is now I'm able to just shift into the DNA and actually talk through the frequency of the DNA. And that's where a lot of my transmissions and my work has gone since
Beautiful.
then.
wow. That is how
Let
it
me,
does seem like that is how it works, right? That seems really light.
it does. Let me ask this question. Are you one of the first humans to be able to do that now? And the reason why I asked that
Mm.
question is because we all know that there was, oh gosh, even that blows this, even this whole conversation blows this
One
question
more
up.
one here.
Um, that 100th monkey, the first person to run the 4-minute mile. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
Is that, are you one of the first humans to have this happen?
Do you
Do
know?
you know?
I don't know. And I don't want to know. I mean, the
That's exactly why
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's why it blows
yeah.
this whole
What
question
I
up.
will say is that Astroluma has said that they gave the steps of cell ascension, and I even have memories of, and maybe it's just I'm tapping into another dimensional space of myself. But I remember this is why I came here. Like I knew
Mhm.
when I
Yeah.
came into the body that this was part of what, but then you kind of forget, and then you remember and you forget. But I've always been conscious. Even when I was little, I was very conscious. And where I was like, oh, so what they were saying is that there was over 1,000 people, and that's not that many, you guys, when you think of
Oh,
people that came in and that had the ability to tap in to the technologies and activate them along the way. And so far, I'm the only one that did it.
wow.
Wow. I'm glad I asked the question. I didn't understand why you were like, I don't even want to know. So I was like, I get that when I ask the question, it almost blows it up, right?
Well, I know that
So wild.
your work before, when we had a conversation before I even got with Lianka, you were doing a lot on anti-aging and longevity through cells.
Mhm.
So
Do,
you were always called to it.
yeah.
That was when I was back in step one of cell ascension,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was
Uh-huh.
the reprogramming of the cell out of from aging to longevity. So I was only in the first step of cell ascension. I didn't
Wow.
even know the other steps were coming, you guys. So
Wow.
that's like crazy that you just brought me back to that
That is,
moment.
yeah,
Right.
full circle, another full circle. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that both. Uh, I don't even know what to ask now because I feel
That
like
and my mind's blown.
words are we always say this on this show, like there's we're trying to describe concepts that are outside of the realm sometimes of what even the human mind can truly understand.
Mhm.
And you obviously have gone through, since even that time that you've been working with Jenna, through this and obtaining more. I do get the sense that now that you have and you are sharing with us, so thank you for being so courageous to continue to share this beautiful work and what you've learned. I don't even, I don't want to say I don't, gosh, I don't want to make this statement because I'm like, I don't know what I would do if they showed up right there. Sometimes I would want to be fearful of stuff that I don't understand. And I think I'm just saying this as a surrogate for others.
Yeah.
When you, I do get the sense now, though, that many more will have this ability much more with a quickening now, even because you share, but even without those things have
Yeah.
happening. Yes, okay.
Yeah, the mechanics of reality have shifted.
Yes,
And but also it's important to remember that everybody has a 12 strain DNA system and
yes,
everybody's system is active. Everybody's. It's
yes.
whether or not consciousness is choosing to submit to the intelligence and learn to use it because it is an operating system, right? It is a technology. It's only the beginning of us experiencing what we are, right? And that's it's like kind of mind-blowing to think that, but everything that we see in the movies and that we can imagine, we're so much more than that. Like those are just
Yes.
that's where people are getting the downloads of showing
Yeah.
are even the technologies that we AI that we keep manifesting things outside of ourselves. Well, now that's starting to shift, and I mean, there'll be a day where we will be the data system. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
it's like we're not going to need to go to a computer. We're just going to go and press a technology, and it's just going to turn on, and we have that
Yes.
experience. But right now, we have to teach our consciousness to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's share your special offer, but I'd also like to hear some of the other things that you're doing in the world. I also want to know, are you coming back to Dave Asbury's thing in October?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Okay.
I have another trip that
Mm.
he always has them on the exact times where I have other stuff going on. So
Oh,
Oh, bummer.
I
I
know.
just thought it would have been really
well,
neat to
she'll
meet you
come
in
and hang out
person.
with us.
Yeah, yeah, we'll just have to find a time for you to come out and
Yes.
hang with us at our
Yeah.
events.
I love-
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and share your offer and then just let us know what else you've got going on too, because I'm curious and I'm sure if I'm curious, somebody else is curious too.
Right. Yeah. So this is just a fun, interactive way to just kind of like what you were asking, Jenna, too, is well, how do we live our lives this way? And it's really
Hmm.
every micro decision of recognizing where we're choosing life from. And that's, am I in the second sunflower or the first? So this is a course that kind of brings you through exactly how to do that, is how to continue to submit or surrender consciousness and let an intelligence turned on. And it's a really fun and interactive way of having the experience because once your body has the experience, it remembers, right? So sometimes when we learn something through the mind,
You
we
might
can
like this.
easily forget later. But when we have the experience and we learn through the body always remembers. And so that's how I like to do all of my teachings. So that is
Hmm.
what this is.
Okay, this is
So
what you were
do you want
talking
to go
about.
through
Yeah.
the weeks of this divine molecular
Yeah.
technology? Like what
So the
happens in
Divine
each week?
Molecular Technology or DMT, those are the codes. So you'll be working with the 12-strand DNA system and the codes that turn on the technologies. And then
Wow.
you're going to start to, once you learn to turn those on, you start to activate intentions and begin to shift reality through them. And so they're just little prompts that you do, just like you, it's almost like you're starting to
Mhm.
use your DNA as an
Love
AI.
it.
You can put a prompt in, and then
Yeah.
if it releases a frequency and it's a frequency that you feel isn't quite in alignment, then you can go in and reprompt and activate a higher frequency. And so you can learn to manifest through your DNA.
This is beautiful.
Wow.
This is amazing. Thank you.
So
Sure.
you guys, it's $97. So this might be something
Yeah.
It
to
is a
have a lot
fun,
of
it is
fun
a
with.
fun, just kind of like, I'm gonna test the
Yeah.
waters and see what this is all about.
I love
Sweet,
it. I love it
sweet.
so much. Thank you.
Wow.
And thank you for doing the work that you're doing and taking it out to
Yeah.
the world. Bless you for being so courageous.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for being willing to go there too, because sometimes I feel like some speakers are like,
Oh no,
"It's
she was like, okay, I'm gonna give you, and I was like, okay,
give you
where's my
everything."
notes? Because thank goodness I have this on
I'm like,
replay.
I'm glad I have the replay.
Me too.
Because I'm going to go back through it because I feel like there's just things that you speak beyond the levels that we're at in a way. And
you.
yet, because you're being it, it's like we get that it's like, oh my goodness, it's exciting, it's important. We get that it's aligned
Yes.
energetically,
Yes.
but sometimes the words are like beyond, I guess, even what human words could be. So,
I feel like that's also starting to be something that more and more of us are going to start to experience is
hmm
kind of
hmm
almost listening beyond the words, and
Yes.
yes.
that we're starting to transmit frequency to frequency or DNA to DNA, and that's going to really start to speed up evolution as well because
Mm.
the purity of that, it's the experience of the DNA.
Yeah.
We're speaking from that. We don't have to understand it with the mind because our body
Yes.
understands it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
Any parting words for us today, Jules? Thank you.
Oh gosh, well, I just want to thank you all so much for this is always it's always fun hanging out and you always have the best questions and the best reflections as well. So it's always so much
Thank
fun
you.
and just thanks for everybody just hanging out with us and creating a beautiful container for us to evolve in.
Tracy on
Yes.
the
Thank
chat
you.
says, thanks so much. Susanna says, thank you very much with all these hearts. And Tonda says, thank you, Jules. Monumental Earth expression. And someone else is so excited that they are source. I am the frequency
Yes.
source. And so it's beautiful.
You don't need the I am, you just
You
hear
don't even
it.
need the I am, is what I was going to say as well.
I love
Uh,
that.
and then just a very beautiful conversation. Thank you. Thank you. So lots of love on the chat as well as they pour in, and we'll send those
Mhm.
over. Yay.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for continuing to help us raise
All the
consciousness.
we've gotten the
That
celebration balloons. We've gotten the words.
hearts
Yeah.
just like squirted out of your heart too. It was adorable.
Love
Love
it.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A couple quick announcements, everyone, before we have our next speaker come and join us. We do have a contest, or it's not a contest because we're not allowed to have contests. It is a drawing. And when you participate and put your comments on, it's an incentive, on Instagram or TikTok, screenshot that and send it over to us at team@houthustle.com. You'll be entered to win a session with either Jenith or I. And you can also make your comments on YouTube. Just search the word Hout and Hustle. That's HAUTEHUSTLE. And that's what I got.
Yep.
Jenith, why don't you tell them a little bit about?
I just
We've got a couple
wait,
minutes, so we can tell them a little bit about the
VIP.
amazing gift that you had. That's only
Yes. So yeah, I just want to remind you if you're liking these shows, get the VIP pass. You get all the past and all the future
oh yeah.
recordings. It's on the dashboard. It's just $97 this week. It's literally forever you get it. In it, you also get speaker bonuses and gifts that they offer to us so that you can dive deeper in various areas that you wish to dive deeper in. It's just a buffet. It's a grand buffet. So if you are looking for that VIP pass, you can find it at houthustle.com/live. And we're just trying to get you some fun things. And I had this dragon series that were just channeled meditations through me from the Arcturian dragons. I guess it was last year that I created that. I sold it initially for $300, and then have reduced it to just $44. But this week only, you can get it for
She
$8
said $8.
$8.80 by putting in the coupon code DRAGONS with an S. If you're called to explore some of this work with the Archerian dragons, some of the crystalline transmissions that come down with it, it sounds really significant, but the Archerians kind of make it kind of a playful voyage. You know, you go and some of them you go and you heal in these various chambers, and others, you know, they invite you to rest at the end and just to fall asleep. So all of the adventures are quite different, but you definitely get to meet your dragon
Yay.
and you get to learn how to communicate with your dragons. So it's just kind of and there's Ormetus had word for word me write up a little paragraph at the top of that sales page. So if you're looking at it, you know, take in, I don't even know what it says, but take in what it says there because that's what it does.
And where could they find it, Jenith?
And you can find that it's off of the dashboard. It's also off of the newsletter. And you're looking for Dragon Voyages. And if you can find the shop, it's also in the shop. And you'll know it when you see it. It's Dragon Voyages. And you'll also know if you're called to it when you look at the package.
Yeah. Also, how do they get to the shop?
The shop is, if you're on the desktop, you can get there from the dashboard. It's right at the top right-hand corner. And if you are not on the
On your
actual
mobile.
computer,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a mobile, you can go to houthustle.com/shop.
All
And
of this
all
will
of
be
a lot of our previous speakers that still have their packages open for you, you can get whatever you want there. And if you're a Mystique member, you get 10% off I think all of those actually.
yeah,
They're
anything
all
that
under
yeah.
us, yes.
Yep.
So so there's your talk about buffet.
Yeah, and just reminding you, she said that if you get the VIP pass, it is all of our 7 seasons from before, and then all of our future seasons. So any summit, we do at least one summit a quarter. We're actually doing them a little bit more right now. So it's just a plethora of work that builds on each other. And we also have a free community that is off of social media. So it's on its own private app where we share what we call whispers, and whispers are clues. And I'm kind of in this works right now of wanting to put together kind of a workbook where we work through some of
The
the
whispers.
whispers, and so that this work will really land and work with each other. So if you are getting the VIP pass, then you will also get the workbook as we introduce that out too. So again, put all your whispers there on the app, and you can find the community right there on the live page. It just has a button that says join the free community, and it is great way for you to interact with other people, like-minded people, and just share and be a part of a non-judgmental uh, everybody on their own journey kind of place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just didn't without that you were
Did you guys have any questions for us while we have 3 more minutes here? We're happy to answer anything. Um,
Deborah says Jeneth and Lianka are both amazing with your generosity. Oh, thank
thank
you.
you. We're working on that generosity after last night. If you didn't missed yesterday afternoon, I would go back and watch that for sure. Majam and uh what is her name?
Oh, Alyssa
Alyssa
Rushton.
Rushton
Those were really good.
blew us away. I mean, it was just I still get amazed when people blow us away sometimes. So cool.
Yeah, it was a great.
So
All of the speakers are great,
played
and
a
there's so much to be received from
Mhm.
each one. And you'll start to find well, at least I do, and I know Jeneth does, is that you'll find these different places where speakers are kind of saying the same things, but maybe they're saying it in different ways. And Jennifer and I could both be talking about the same subject, but because we all have a different signature resonance, you may receive differently from each one of us. And so this is the reason why we have just the different speakers that come and speak about the different things that we can all experience as we're on this spiritual journey. And I feel like each person has their own piece to offer because the human mind is not prepared yet to encompass all of everything. Then we bring all of these, what we call whispers, and we use that as a whisper map to find the through points and really connect those not only for our lives but for humanity. But the more important thing is that where can you hear those whispers for yourselves, so that you're really taking those and really applying them to your life. If you're hearing stuff that's about earlier from about relationships, where can you apply that to being more present, to being, not the I am, but to truly being the energy of the beautiful relationship, right? So these are all different ways in which we can work with these energies to have the life that we're really in these bodies meant to have.
Yeah. Whisper mapping was something in 2013 or 2014 I had a visual for, and it actually is a circle and it has like all these crisscross arrows. It's like goes whisper, question to choice, but it can also go choice, question, whisper. And it just allows you to navigate life. And it's sort of interesting because it really does fit in here right after Jules's conversation. I mean, it's not rigid, it's like a free flowing form. I have a newer graphic. I'll try to bring it tomorrow to just flash up during one of these breaks so that you can see how you can flow greater with your whispers, because they're not just like whisper to whisper to whisper. Like it does invite you to get curious about the whisper,
And I
to
think
dive
that's
deeper about the whisper,
sure. I
right?
think that's one way to use it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there's other ways
Yes,
to also
yes,
see the geometry in different ways as well.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, you could stay in the question forever too, right?
And is that what you would consider looping?
Wait,
If
I
or
don't know. It depends on if
no,
if
true.
it depends on the question, if the question keeps getting deeper and
Yeah,
deeper
that's
and
true.
deeper.
That is true.
Yeah. Let's talk about Atlantis.
Oh my gosh, this is exciting.
This will be a fun one. But I
Yay.
do
I
need
already
to
see
bring,
people clapping, excited for this conversation. It'll be like one of the first times we're actually having this conversation fully. I think
yes,
in this series, we and Jenith and I have had our own experiences with Remembrance and Atlantis. So this will be a really beautiful, fun, dynamic conversation.
let me restart a recording and here we'll go. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackert.
And I'm Leonka Reina.
This is the How Hustle Mystic Morning Show, your community
Go
go
to
to
for
for
Woo.
woo. Today we are talking with Ameribeth Atlantis, and we are going to talk about Atlantean times, some of her channeling, and some water beings too are going to really come into this one because she's that kind of gal. I think we both self-identify as water babies, and we also have had a moment where we were standing here in the office and kind of just was overwhelmed and overflowed by Atlantean energy at a moment. So this should be quite a fun thing. Maribeth, why don't you take the audience that doesn't know you, which is probably a lot of them because we haven't had you on this year, and tell them a little bit about how this began, how you began having these awarenesses, and really like just take us back.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Can you hear me okay?
We
Yes, you
can.
sound
I just
great.
wonder a little bit, can everybody see her pretty well? I think you're kind of falling a little bit into shadow, but as long as everybody else can see you really well, I'm totally good with it. Alrighty, go ahead.
Okay, so far so good. So thank you first of all for inviting me to be on your wonderful show. It's always a great pleasure and an honor to talk about my people, the Mer people, and the great kingdom of Atlantis, as I am a healer and teacher for the wisdom and the knowledge of the fifth and final variation of Atlantis. So
Mhm.
we'll talk a little bit of just brief Atlantean and Lemurian history. First of all, there were five iterations or incarnations of the great experiment of Atlantis. Atlantis was a great experiment by Prime Creator to see if beings who had never been in a human form before could lower their vibration, lower their frequency, come down into a physical body and still retain their fifth dimensional connection to spirit.
Mhm.
And of course, they came in, and the first thing they get hit with is emotions.
Yay.
Never
Oh,
had emotions, at least not to the depth that we get to enjoy.
Yeah.
yes, that's true. Yes.
Participate in any human form. So feeling, and the five senses, being able to smell flowers, to hug their loved ones, to run their hands through water, to eat delicious food. These sensations are all brand new to the Atlanteans. And the incarnation that I'm here really most to speak about is the fifth and final, we'll call it the fall of Atlantis, but really the fifth and final Atlantean experiment, which concluded about 13,000 years ago. And you may have heard stories, of Atlantis being this utopian civilization, beautiful, beautiful, luminescent beings living under the seven spiritual laws of Atlantis, namely the law of one, which is all beings are equal in the eyes of the creator. That was the supreme law in Atlantis. And again, the goal was to see in an experiment, you have to have a variable, right? If you're creating an experiment, you can't have the same circumstances going on all the time. There's got to be a variable that comes in that kind of like messes with things to see what the reaction is going to be. And in Atlantis's case, and all five iteration, it was an introduction of what we might call the dark forces. Beings who infiltrated in, and the Atlantean beings knew ahead of time that the dark ones eventually would be let in because they were in a great experiment. But because of the veil of anonymity, of course, we all forget our contracts and agreements, right?
Sure.
We come down here, we've had all these wonderful contracts and agreements, all these ways we're going to like balance karma and do cool things, and maybe even agreements with other beings that we're going to come in and test you a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Or we're going to
Yes.
come in and like, do some things that might not feel so good. So you can have an experiment within the experiment of how you are going to react, how you are going to grow, how you are going to evolve. So as we go through the story of Atlantis and Lemuria, it's really important to remember that dark and light, good and evil are really just they're concepts, they're programs. Now, that's not to say we have free reign to do whatever we want to whoever we want here on this earth plane, because there is such a thing as karma balancing. And when you contribute to something that creates a cause and effect that is in a more we'll call like negative or detrimental type of effect, there is a balancing that has to happen at somewhere in space and time, somewhere in some dimension in reality, and usually it plays itself out on here on Earth. This is the primary stage for cause and effect, for karma of all kinds. And karma can be a good thing too, by the way. You
Yes.
can accrue lots of great karma. But what happens is we get down here and we really have very little or no remembrance of the contracts we've made with our tribe, our family, the people we're dating or we're marrying, our jobs, our communities. We have no idea that we've created these different contracts for a reason. So my first memory of Atlantis came through a past life regression
Mhm.
about maybe 18 years ago or so. I was, newly in my awakening, and I was just a mother driving a driving a
Yeah.
minivan. married, thinking that's all I'm ever going to do. And I went through this very kind of radical spiritual awakening as a result of watching an Oprah show.
Hey, that's so
Oprah.
funny.
Oprah woke me up in December of 2004.
She's
She,
been
she
doing a lot of awakening, huh?
she has, and
Leslie,
again, she's a
yes.
really good example because there's controversy around who Oprah really is.
Truth, right? Oh,
There's a
funny.
lot of
Funny.
controversy around
That
that.
is
There's a
funny.
controversy around like all these big name people who are out there who you would kind of put on a pedestal for a little
Yeah.
while. And then we realize they're human
Yeah.
and
Or
they
are
have
they?
karma and they have other lifetimes and they have entities and energies and they
Yeah.
have ego
Yep.
just like all the rest of us. So we kind of have to take sometimes the good experiences with the questionable experiences and take what works and leave the rest. And in my case, Oprah was doing a show about women around the world at the end of December 2004 who were about 30. And she was interviewing them, some live streamed, and what their lives were like. And some of them had lived just horrific, Rwandan experiences, repression. Many of them were nothing like me. Some of the women were similar to me. Most of them, my life as a suburban mother was not even close to what their experiences was. But as I watched this show, I had this very somatic experience of looking in the eyes of every single one of those women, and whether they were similar to me or not, that woman's story was my story.
Yep.
That woman's truth was my truth. And I bawled through that entire episode, and my heart opened. And I felt this love, this great, like love, unconditional love for these women that I didn't know, that I never felt for my sisters, for my friends. It was
Interesting.
like this cosmic great mother love. And that was my first experience with the divine feminine. I
Wow.
didn't even know what the divine feminine was.
Right.
I didn't know what goddess
No one
energy
was talking
was.
like that. Yes.
All I knew was it
Yeah.
catapulted me into this like love, this great love for women, for the feminine that I had not known in my, patriarchal Catholic type of, other than Mother Mary, we don't talk about these kinds of things. So
Mhm.
life goes on a little bit. I'm reading Dolores Cannon, I'm reading Wayne Dyer, I'm learning about frequency, I'm learning about past lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I'm doing all this like supersized learning, I feel these sensations start to happen in my arms and in my body as I'm meditating, and my body is involuntarily, without my,
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it, moving, making these gentle swimmy motions. And I found that as I went around my children, their headaches would, they'd go to sleep. Headaches were going away. I was moving energy and I didn't even really know what that meant. So as a result, I went and saw a past life regression therapist in Portland, Oregon, a very well-known psychologist and therapist by the name of Julia Ingram. And I told her, this is what's happening. I just feel like it's past life related.
Mhm.
So she put me on the couch, she put me in the hypnosis, and immediately I start leaping up and down off the couch like this, exclaiming, I'm a mermaid, I'm a mermaid.
Oh,
Swimming
beautiful.
down, I found myself swimming down into the dark waters to an underwater city.
Mhm.
And I thought, this woman is going to think I'm crazy.
Ah, I've had that happen.
Because I didn't even know mermaids were a real thing back then. But she just kept saying, "Tell me more. What
Yep.
else is going
Yes.
on?"
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and through that session, I went took a deep dive, literally, into the lineage of my soul and my karmic contracts and agreements that I was here to bring forward to the world as a teacher and a healer and an incarnated merbeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came
Sweet.
out of that session completely
What
transformed,
year was
mind
this?
blown,
Yeah.
and immediately just embrace it. Even though I knew my family wasn't going to understand, the person I was married to was not going to understand. My community at large it felt so real and so true for me. And you know how when you are so walking in your own truth, your soul has this calling that you would die if you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I knew if I didn't step into this, if I didn't embrace it, if I didn't like look at everybody who would be, what are you thinking? What are you talking? Because this was a different
Yes.
version of me than
What year was this?
this was about 2006. It was
Okay.
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a year and a half, I went through all this reading, learning, growing. I start having these movements. I'm reading about energy. I have this regression done, and immediately Spirit's like, you need to open up a YouTube channel and start talking to other mer people because there are more of you than you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sure that takes a lot of courage. I'm not going to say I'm sure. I know it takes a lot of courage,
Yeah,
especially at that in that time because no one was having these conversations. I
right.
remember in 2012 when I first started working with Janet, like the stuff that they were even talking about was like, what? What?
Uh,
Like, I mean, it was mind blowing and it took again a lot of courage to even come
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do a
thank you.
yes, a YouTube
delusion.
channel to talk about this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
And
your
all
local
the mer
people.
people are always drawn to me. All the mer
Yeah.
beings find me. And I had women and someone just coming out of the word work saying,
Oh,
thank you.
beautiful.
I've
Yes.
always felt that I was a mer being. Like, thank you so much for speaking
Yes.
this and talking about us. Because back then, no one was really even talking about the mer and the
And
aqua
it can feel
beings.
very lonely when you are
Yes,
having these experiences and you don't have this type of community to go and express or just ask questions about, like learn a
right.
little bit more. So bless you for doing that. Um,
I know
go
that
ahead.
we can demonstrate your work in a few ways. How would you like to do that?
Oh gosh, are you talking like a real live?
Well, we have a live listeners here. I know that you said you take some live callers
Oh,
if
I would
you
love
want
some
to.
live colors.
Oh,
Yes.
fun.
I'd love to answer questions. And
Okay.
we'll talk maybe a little bit more about the history of Atlantis and Lemuria and the Mer people as we go along too, because it's a very
Perfect.
Yes.
important part of what's happening collectively on Earth
Yeah.
right now.
Right
Right now.
now.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
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 Well, do you want, as we raise hands and people have questions about Lemuria, if you have questions about Atlantis, like that, and you just feel like you're called to ask a question, I want you guys to raise your hand. Do you want to talk about the right now, though?
So the right now, so we are in what I call the sixth Atlantean experiment.
Okay.
Only this time, Prime Creator decided we do it a little bit differently. Instead of fifth dimensional beings coming into a third dimensional body, trying to retain our fifth dimensional connection, we are third dimensional beings trying to remember our fifth dimensional. So we're doing something different. 5 times experiment kind of went some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
This time, God says, come down in the density. Just come
Mm-hmm.
down as your densest self. And we have been kind of fighting our way out or
Yeah.
fighting our way up, it feels like, and it's called ascension.
Yeah.
This process of healing, and this is where regression therapy comes in. I call it past life progression these days because I feel like we're not going back, we're moving up,
Yes.
we're moving out.
Yes. Very
And
much so.
so,
Yes.
how this comes into play is we are multidimensional beings. We have other aspects of ourselves that are just kind of hanging out there, unhealed, waiting to return to our oversoul, who are looking to you and to me as the awakened, who raised their hands and said, "We'll do it. We'll take the family karma.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take the ancestral stuff. We'll take all the other aspects, and we're going to remember, right?" So we have all. Not only
I
do we have
promise I'll remember.
ancestors.
Yeah,
But
right.
we have all these
You
other
can't forget
aspects of
them.
us who are knocking on our energy feeling, say, hey, what you're doing here, I'm doing this in this other dimension too, and I need help.
Mm-hmm.
I want to heal, you want to heal. The totality of our oversoul is looking to ascend, and it's being done predominantly through you and me on this timeline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes. Oh,
Wow.
We ready
thank
for
you.
a question?
Yeah,
Yeah, go
let's
ahead,
take
Deborah.
Deborah, you're up.
Hi, Deborah.
Oh, thank you, ladies, Jonathan Lanka and Amira. Um, I know that I'm a mer being, but I love what you just ended with, that I'm all these other things too. And that's probably my biggest thing is like, oh, where do I go? So I'm so excited to meet you and hear your sharing.
Nice.
And think, yeah, that my question is just, I know that I know um, this about my being, but I don't even know where to go, how to step into it. Like I say, because I also know I'm Arcturian,
Right.
and then yeah, can you help me in that?
I can. So are you asking like you want to step more fully into a multidimensional aspect of yourself that is Mer or perhaps Arcturian?
Yes, I'm saying yes. And
Okay.
how do I do that?
So the best way to do that is to do that through a regression or what I call a soul progression, which is where I take my clients into that realm of reality where you exist as that being and you embody, you step into the shoes or the flippers of that being and you see through their eyes and you hear with their ears and you know and understand everything because that's you in
Mhm.
another reality.
Yes.
We all have these multidimensional aspects, and the reason that we aren't always so consciously aware of them is that we couldn't stay grounded into this being if we're aware of all of consciously aware, like acutely aware of all these other beings that are other versions of us. They sometimes call that schizophrenia. So, which is just a being who is accessing multi dimensions at once, and they can't stay grounded within who they are. So, regression therapy allows you to very safely, under the guidance of a facilitator, go visit with and become this alternate personality while still retaining your sovereignty and true sense of Deborah on this timeline. You gain this understanding, the knowledge, the gifts. Maybe you heal something that happened in this lifetime that's similar that's going on into this lifetime. Then that being gets what it needs to ascend to your oversoul. It gets to complete its lifetime. We have many uncompleted lifetimes that are waiting, hoping that we will notice them and be with them and use our superpowers, our multidimensional cosmic superpowers, to not only resolve them in this lifetime, but most importantly, heal whatever karmic contracts and agreements we have in this lifetime. So we do that together. Sometimes at the end, we do a healing with your guides and angels, kind of whatever the session calls for. And then you talk also at the end with that being. What do you need? What do you need? How can you help me in this lifetime? You bring forward all the gifts, all the talents, everything you aren't supposed to have in this lifetime travels to, back to your soul with that version of you.
Maribeth, I know we can't do a past life progression session here. I'm actually wondering if you could, though, take us through a group meditation to awaken some dormant. It seems like there might be some dormant energies around us that think we've had, um, mermaid lives and things like that.
We can set an intention. My
Mhm.
meditations in that realm tend to take a while to
Oh,
really do
okay.
it justice.
All right, see that.
To really get somebody there. But,
Okay.
it starts simply with you just, going into your being, we have a chakra called the 13th chakra, the sacred soul, which is
Mhm.
between your heart and your solar plexus. So you may have felt at some point in your body this like movement or pressure that's not quite your heart, not quite your soul. It's your sacred soul. It's that 13th energy center
Mhm.
that is your center of mastery. So, knowing that, you can just close your eyes and just kind of tap into that part of your body right between those energy centers and just take a couple of breaths and relax your shoulders. And without overthinking it, just envision a beautiful white ball of glowing light right in the center of your chest. That ball of light is going to be your 13th sacred soul energy center. And just breathe into that for a moment. And recognize that this is the centrifugal center point for all of your 13 Atlantean chakras and the centrifugal center point of your Christed energy, where your oversoul coalesces into the center of your body and expands up to your heart and your solar plexus like a trinity of light. We are the Trinity. We are the Holy Grail. This is where all information of your soul is stored. And if you would like just to take a moment and to breathe into that and just breathe it open a little bit. Just allow it to relax and open and expand a little bit larger so you feel it moving into your heart and solar plexus and feel how good that feels. And as you're breathing into this beautiful, brilliant white light, this sacred soul, this centrifugal center point of your being, also focus on the very top of your head, the crown of your head, and just move your energy up through your light body to what's called your oversoul. And if this is a new exercise for you, your oversoul is that big, brilliant ball of light from whence you came, connected to the Creator.
Mm.
It is that highest part of you. And just draw a line of energy from a golden line of energy from your sacred soul all the way up through the crown of your head to your oversoul. And just allow that line of energy to connect and complete and become part of you, become reunited. And in this moment, you can make the request to that very highest part of you that any and all aspects of your soul, any and all multidimensional energies, beings who are ready to ascend, who are ready to complete from this earth plane or complete from whatever reality they are hanging around in, that they may now return to the unconditional love, the universal love from whence they came, that is your oversoul. And just give them permission, give yourself permission, because these are all you, to complete and be free. And you might feel some energies leave your aura. You might feel some lightness in your body, because you and these other energetic part of you are simply just looking for permission or for someone to tell them it's okay to go home.
It's okay to go home.
It's okay to go home. Go home. Love is waiting for you there. Love and only love is waiting for you there. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the opportunities. Thank you for the challenges. We are complete. Let's go home.
Mm.
And then at the same time, you retain your sense of self, your sovereignty in this situation where the being, the aspect that incarnated as you, the great you, the I am presence, fills with more light and more power and more self-authority, self-sovereignty. And just take a breath and ground that down to your feet. And remember that your oversoul is, you're always connected. It's always there. Sacred soul, always connected and there. And that you can return and do this very simple exercise anytime you choose.
Thank you.
Wow, that was neat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel lighter. Does anybody else out there feel lighter?
Yeah, right. It
Yeah.
is
And you
too.
know, it really is that simple to free ourselves. And for those of you who are looking to really deeply connect with one or two aspects of your soul that you are feel are important to your soul mission here. We have many different aspects. They're not always they're fun to know, but they're not always like vital to your mission.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But you know, the Mer people and Atlantis, those all my aspects of Atlantis that I'm healing up scientists who did genetic experiments in Atlantis. That are
Wow.
me.
Mhm.
I'm healing the priests and priestesses that are me. I'm healing the mer beings. Okay, so those aspects are very important to my soul remembrance. If you has those, then yes, we can do a soul progression together and you know, call everybody forward
Uh-huh.
who wants to come in at this time and unite, reunite, and be healed.
Love
Right.
it. Love it.
Right.
We have another question.
And and a question also on the chat.
Yeah, Tracy asked, will Atlantis rise again?
Atlantis is rising. My tagline
Yeah.
has always been Atlantis rising. And then
Uh-huh.
Jason Momoa started saying it in Aquaman. Um, you
Oh,
know,
funny.
and here we have so this is a really big question because along with the idea of Atlantis rises physically, literally, and Atlantis and Lemuria also rise energetically. They rise as a consciousness. They've always been there. It's a consciousness we are reconnecting to. But the as above, so below means that the earth goes through significant changes as Atlantis and Lemuria rise again. And I mean, this year especially, we're seeing earth changes happening everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it is part of, the God in life is create, destroy, recreate.
Right.
We are also always in bioremediation. This planet is constantly in bioremediation. Cycles of life are create, destroy, and recreate.
Yep.
We're in the destruction part, entering into the recreation form of what I call the New Earth, Atlantis, and Lemuria. We won't call it that probably, but that is the concept, or that is the consciousness. And with that, land masses have to rise and fall.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of what happens on this great sphere. We are eternal beings, and I really like to express the remembrance that there is no death.
Right.
Yes.
One of the reasons there was so much karma from Atlantis is the Atlanteans forgot they were eternal beings. And when Atlantis fell that fifth time, there was grieving and despair and
Yeah.
guilt and regret and remorse. And I talked to many, many healers and people who feel like they were personally responsible for the fall of
Yes.
Atlantis.
Yes.
First of all, no one's that special. I mean, we're all special, but there's not one single person who took down Atlantis. It didn't happen that way. It came over stages and periods of time, and it was just part of the experiment, how the experiment went, because the Atlanteans did forget that they were fifth dimensional beings and get caught, most of them, not all of them, got caught up into the karma. So away the experiment went, and the Lemurians remembered they were eternal beings when Lemuria sank. They sang, they held hands.
Yeah.
They knew it was a passing of one existence to the other. Atlantis has so much karma, and it's important to revisit the timeline of the spiral of Atlantis because again, as the thing is bound, it is unbound. We're reversing the spiral. We're doing a new Atlantean experiment, creating a different outcome. And that's really what karma is all about, right? Making a different choice, creating a different outcome, having a different perspective. So everything, we have individual karma, and we all belong to this collective karma of Atlantis and Lemuria. And it is a beautiful, glorious, magnificent thing we are going through, because it is going to birth a new reality and a new super multidimensional, fully connected fifth dimensional human, which is star being, which is where we came from.
Yeah. And
Yes.
that ties right into exactly what we were talking about in the last call.
Yes.
If you have that.
Uh,
Are
let
you ready to
I
take the
have
next question?
I have a question, a real question. I have had bad dreams about tsunamis. Like,
Hmm.
and I can't watch the tsunami type shows really because,
Sure.
and I do think it has a connection to Atlantis. Is that something that, okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
I would be willing
I didn't
to
know that.
wager,
No,
based on the many, 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 many sessions I've done and people I've worked with, that the majority of our karmic contracts, agreements, and relationships
mhm,
stem from Atlantis and or Lemuria, and you were likely there during one or more of the great cataclysmic events that
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
And those things are in our cells and DNA.
It
yeah,
also shows in the earth too, now that we
yeah,
can do the science to
Yeah,
prove that the Great Flood happened and
right.
that they happen at certain intervals as well. Is that also what the information you might be receiving? If they happen at the 13,000 year mark, we would be due.
What did you say? What would we
Well, we
do?
we would be due for another
Oh, we
flood.
would be, yes, yes,
Yes,
exactly. Because everything, again, time is not even past, present,
that's what I thought.
future.
I
It's on a
heard you saying.
spiral. It's on
yeah,
a spiral, and we're riding a spiral right
Yeah.
now. It's a
yeah,
it's a similar timeline.
Yes, it is.
Reversing, creating and
Yeah.
creating a new outcome,
hmm
having a new perspective, and knowing we are eternal beings. So something new and different can be birthed.
Yes.
yeah,
It's actually every 12/5.
Yeah. Yeah, 12, give or
Yeah,
take.
yeah, for those science people out there.
I like the number 13, so I always gear. And it might take that long or close to that long for this
Sure.
process to complete itself.
Yeah. Which is only a blip for us, right?
Exactly.
It's very
Yep.
interesting.
Tonda has a question on the chat. Tonda, you want to go ahead and ask?
There. Hello.
Hi.
I have a question. You had mentioned schizophrenia,
Yes.
and we were foster parents.
Hmm.
We had a girl who they ended up saying she had 13 personalities. Could that have been, is that part of something like this, or is that totally different?
Well, I mean, I think it's all related. Again, that was part of her karmic agreement to come into this planet with that condition for whatever reason. There were lessons and learning in there for you as a foster parent. There are lessons and learnings in there for every life that she touches while she embodies that condition. These are higher, bigger contracts, and the divine beings who come in with great illnesses and physical problems, they're cleaning up a lot of karma
They really
in one
are.
fell swoop.
Mm-hmm.
They're supersizing it all and doing something really, really difficult because again, when we're there, we're like, it's only 80 or 100 years. It's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's going to go by like that. And then we get down here and it's like, wow, this is really taking a long
This
time.
Yeah.
long 100
This is
years,
like
man.
forever. Why did I do this? What was I thinking, right? What was I thinking? And so,
Yes.
yeah, she came to really experience something really intense and maybe not have to go through the lather, rinse, repeat of reincarnation. And I've changed a lot of my ideas about what reincarnation really is along my path. I no longer think that we are required to come back. I think that we choose to
I think so too.
Yeah.
for many reasons.
Yes.
And I think getting out of the loop or the program that if you don't get it all right, you have to come back.
Yeah, I don't
I,
feel
I
that.
don't think that's true. I think
Yeah.
there are many realities that we can go work our stuff out and have experiences. This just seems to be the most popular because
Well, it
it's the
does
most
because of
efficient.
us, because we're doing it.
Yeah.
We have a speaker at the that talks on day one, and she's like pure walk-in. And
Hmm.
she was saying every soul has to go through all of the galaxy. And
Yeah.
so sometimes there's a stillbirth, but that still counts as their Earth
Right.
experience. Mhm.
Yes. Yep. Can I talk a little bit about the Mer people and their
Okay.
Yes,
influence
please.
on today in Atlantis? So,
But Tonda,
so
did that
Yes,
answer your
thank you.
question, first of all? Just
It
wanted
it
to.
did.
okay.
And so she passed when she was only like 30. So she
Hmm.
must have taken care of all of her cards.
She must have completed, whatever level of consciousness or agreement she was here to experience. That's between her and God. It's all between the individual and God. And we're seeing now, a lot of people exiting the planet very quickly and suddenly. And there are many factors that go along with that too, being done karmically, and also, the light influx that's coming is changing people.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
And
sometimes they raise their hand to go ahead and say, okay, I'm an exit. I'm going to take this exit point.
I'm going to
Right.
take this exit point.
Yeah.
My soul, the soul says, I don't want to do it. I can't do it anymore. I've
Yeah.
gone as far as I can go. I'll come back again.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tonda. Go for it, Amara.
So the mer people, the mermaids specifically hold the divine feminine templates. So we've heard over the last many years the rise of the divine feminine and the goddess energy. And there's a reason we see like mermaids are so popular over the last 10 years. Every little girl wants to be one. There's mermaid tales. There's all these shows out in the world in Hollywood about mer people, bringing it from the unconscious to the conscious. because the number of not just mer beings but aqua beings in general that have arrived on this planet as star seeds is just phenomenal. I was part of the group of mer who came through the Stargate Mintaka, the Stargate of Mu in Mintaka, and helped prepare the way. We brought first water. We brought the liquid plasma light before the Lemurians came. That was known as first waters to the earth with the cetaceans who agreed to come at that time through that Stargate. And we gridded the planet because, water is the first element.
Yes.
And so we came and we spent, the mer beings, we are water. We are water in human form, our DNA and our cells, because we know water holds memory.
Yeah.
The mer beings, aqua beings hold the knowledge and the wisdom of everything that has ever happened here. We are the record keepers because water is a record keeper. The same water that, you drink and urinate and sweat goes up into the atmosphere and comes, that's been happening since the beginning of time.
Right.
So think about that. There, like all water that has been here has always been here, just coming down and changing form and recycling and moving through every one of us. So the mer people hold that wisdom, those knowledge in our mitochondria. We hold those templates and those grids for the planets along with the water beings, and we are helping to bring back the divine feminine grids to fly evenly with the divine masculine grids, so this planet can know homeostasis again and can
Wow.
know a balance again.
Yeah.
But first, we have to learn that in ourselves, right? Everybody's
Yes.
trying to balance the masculine and feminine.
Yeah. This polarity duality thing.
hmm
Uh-huh. So what's your advice on that?
So my advice on that, okay, my advice on that is we all come in with a program
Mm-hmm.
that we expect the other people around us and our within relationships to love us a certain kind of way to make us feel loved. We expect our parents, our kids, our partners to love us a certain, and if they don't love us that way, the way we need, then we're not lovable or they don't really love us. That's the
Interesting.
program.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Our job is not to be loved. Our job is to
Okay.
heal.
Yeah.
Our job is to love, but most of the people are loving in the best and only way they know how because of their karma and
Sure.
because of their agreements and their wounds. And they really have no idea even what they're doing. But we personalize that. We take that on as a projection or a loss or a grief or a less than if the other people in our lives don't show up and love us a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have people really, really close to you in your life that you have fallen out of, that maybe aren't talking to you anymore, or maybe you're not talking to them anymore. That probably has nothing, that they're working out their karma.
Yeah.
I have a daughter that I'm really heavily on the outs with because we were Atlantean priestesses together and she was triggered at 11 when I had my spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
She didn't know she was being triggered. I didn't know. All I knew is I woke up to this child who for 20 years has fought me and looked at me like I'm the Antichrist,
Yeah.
because she's working out her karma towards me in Atlantis.
Yes.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And it's so painful when these people who are really close to you reject you
Yeah.
or make you feel so terrible about yourself. So again, our job is to heal.
Or become whole.
That is healing
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Well, to
Well, I
know,
know,
yeah, to
but
know and
people don't
embody
say
our
it that
wholeness
way.
They don't say it that
despite,
way. You're right.
No.
despite the exterior circumstances. And while we're going along in our journey, looking at where can I participate? Where do I have accountability in these relationships? How can I show up in a different way? Because
Yes.
when we change, everybody else's changes.
Yes. I
Yes.
just said that
When
earlier.
you show up differently in a different dynamic or a different perspective, suddenly the people around you start to shift. So
Yes.
where are we holding
112.
back from love? Where are we holding ourselves back from love?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we in our own pride and our own ego?
Mm-hmm.
That
And work
contributes probably
too.
more to our suffering, our
Yes.
own ego, our own pride,
Yes.
than anything else that exists.
Yes.
Yeah. That whole field is a mirror thing is kind
Yeah.
of always gets us, doesn't it?
And we're all doing the best we can, guys. I mean,
Mhm.
we're all doing, everybody out there is just trying to do the best they can in this like really chaotic and confusing and beautiful place.
Yes,
But you know,
Yeah.
the human struggle is a beautiful thing.
it really
Oh, yeah.
is.
It really is gorgeous. And when, you know, those of us can go out there and be a part of somebody's, you know, somebody's struggle and offer them a soothing balm or relief or some measure of healing and love, you know, we're doing God's work.
Hmm. Absolutely. I know that you're offering a progression session
Yes.
as a past life progression session as the gift today. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I can also bring up the
Yeah, that'd
offer.
be great.
Certainly. So, a soul regression is a little different than a past life regression, although if you feel like you'd rather do that, that's fine too. It
Hmm.
enables you to go into another realm of reality through hypnosis. And if you're brand new to hypnosis, no worries, I got you. I'm a very good teacher. It allows you to access information we don't have in our walking around state. And so we set an intention together, whatever your intention you want to bring in. Maybe you want to remember yourself as a Mer or an Arcturian. Maybe you want to go to your great council, your guides, and find out who am I and why am I here.
Hmm.
Maybe you want something very general, maybe you want to fine tune, but it allows you to have several intentions of soul progression and find out again this information, embody this information, or find a measure of healing and knowledge and wisdom you wouldn't normally have when you're walking around, you know, rocking around state, so you can bring that forward on your beautiful human journey.
Yeah. You said a few things there that I just want people to catch. This isn't a way to embody,
Yes,
to,
Yes.
and I think that people miss that.
yes,
They're like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. I might get a glimpse of something, but truly this is to embody.
Well, you know how the old saying goes, you know, you have to walk in another person's shoes to truly understand them.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is a way of walking in, you know, the shoes or walking in the body of this other part of you and understanding that more fully.
Hmm.
right. Because they bleed through. Those other parts of you can
They
bleed
do.
through, and then it starts to kind of mess with what you're doing here. And
They're
also,
like, hey, I
yeah,
need help. Don't
yes,
date that guy. He's bad. No.
yeah.
Right?
If only I had listened. But luckily I found Dolores Cannon's work as well and was able to realize that we were playing a role for each other. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
and have also studied a lot of past life regression. I
Hmm.
love the progression. I love that you're talking
It's a
about it in this
progression.
way.
We're all
Yes,
progressing.
yes,
Yep.
exactly, because there was a time where people were really having to go to the past life to understand or to heal things. Now there is not as much that need, and I
Right.
love that you're reframing this as the progression, because there is that closure, like you said, of the closing out the lifetime, allowing, giving the permission, but also this really beautiful dance that we can have with the other aspects of ourself that we could actually benefit from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, for a very long time, the people I were helping were doing mostly like human type of lives. Because I think, you know, like when we were in kindergarten, you have to have kindergarten information.
Oh, yeah, that makes
But as you
sense.
go up into elementary school and you start to junior high, high school and recognize yourself as a multidimensional being, you have a conscious understanding. I have not just been human. I am all these other
Yes.
Yes.
things as well, and we can bring that in. Like the day I remembered I was a mermaid, I was like, what's happening? But now
Yeah.
it's just like normal. It's like people are like, oh yeah, you're a mermaid.
I
You know, you're
know.
from the
But
fairy
it wasn't
realm.
always
You're
that way.
from Pallades, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's just a normal thing because we've gone through a progression
Yes.
of learning and understanding and growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would even say just as recent as the last 10 years is really even
Yeah.
different from, like, and then that within the last 3 to 5, like our
Right.
ability as a collective to allow more information to be received, even
Yeah.
with the releasing of the CIA files. Now we know that there are beings in the underneath world, and the government's known about it for a long time.
Yeah,
They're
and aren't
finally
we all
admitted
ready
to
for the
it.
Band-Aid just to be
Ah!
ripped off?
Well,
Like there's
it's
something
coming.
called ontological shock
Right.
that is
Yeah.
used as an
I
excuse
agree.
to,
I
to
agree.
not share with the collective
I
because it would put people
agree.
into ontological shock. I'm like, you know what? No.
No, not anymore. It
Yes,
won't.
right?
Yeah.
And if it does, and if it's too much for their nervous system
That's
to accept, they're really maybe not ready to move on to like the next echelon
Yeah.
of understanding our star families. So quit
Yes.
and why
using
do
that as
they
an
get to decide?
excuse.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
But
those people like you and me who can help them.
Yeah.
yes, that's true.
It's kind of it's when I started channeling and was in a hot tub at Mount Shasta, and my husband's like, "Why?" I get that you say you're having this experience and you're hearing this information telepathically through what you say are the Arcturians, but why do they care so much about, you and us, and why haven't then they been able to completely heal your body and things like that? And, I was like, well, I can go ask them. And he's like, no, I want to hear it from you. And, but I wanted to ask you that question. I just feel like it was an interesting question floating around at the time. And, I asked another speaker on Monday, and I'm just kind of curious what your take is on that.
On the say the
Like what,
question
why,
again.
why are the galactic suddenly opening this door of communication and channeling with us?
Well, I think that they always have. It's just becoming more common because
Mm,
more of us are open and receptive
Yep.
to it. More of us are, waking up, and maybe there had to be a tipping point number
hmm.
of
Yeah.
how
Of
many
course there
awakened
was. Yeah.
beings could receive, because of
Yep.
course I'm just like I'm not the only mer being receiving information. I might have been on the cutting edge at one point,
Hmm.
but now it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's those of us who are speaking out bravely about who we are, and who we give permission to other beings to open up and receive and explore that as well.
Yes. Thank you for
Yeah.
being that trailblazer. I think the other question too, Jen, that you had brought up was, well, why do they, and I have a sense of the answer, but I'm curious as to what you might respond with.
Mm.
Another question he had brought up in that conversation was, well, why do they care so much about what happens here on Earth, right?
Yeah.
Why do they
Oh,
care?
because we are them and they are us.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I know. Yeah. Well, that
You know,
is,
we have you ever read any of Bringers of the Dawn?
no, I don't even know
Barbara
what that is.
Marciniak. Has anybody ever read Barbara Marciniak, Bringers of the Dawn?
No, but we will write that down for everybody.
Ask
See?
Okay,
that on the
so it
chat.
was written maybe 35 years ago, but it could have been written yesterday.
Uh-huh.
She is a Pleiadian channel, and she tells the story of Earth, of how the Anunnaki and the reptilians came down and changed our DNA, which messed them
Yes.
up. So they
Mm.
altered our DNA, and because they're connected to us in all time and space, it altered their societies. So
Oh,
I got
they're
it.
back as us, fixing what they
Yeah.
broke,
Yes.
oh,
fixing our
wow.
DNA, repairing our DNA. I wish it could be done like overnight, wham bam, but it's this process. As a thing is bound, it is unbound. It's this process where also we have free will,
Yep.
Mm.
and everybody's on a different type of karmic
Yep.
path. So yeah, we are literally back here with the help of our star families, fixing what they maybe messed up
Yeah.
eons ago.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, if we're the experiment and if we are the ones that do this timeline, we do the ascension, then
Yeah,
of course that they'd be invested in that.
Hmm.
sure, sure,
I'd be
sure.
rooting for us too.
They're watching
Right?
with, we have so many beings just watching us with awe. They
Yes.
say that, we're in awe of the angels. The angels are in awe of us.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
The
Because we're
the
doing this with Earth.
we are
Yeah.
doing, we're boots on the ground,
Yes.
going through it. And
Yeah.
they're just like, whoa, look at these cool humans. I want to be
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not judging all our stupid decisions
No.
too, right?
Right.
They're just seeing the, they're just seeing it play out in the game.
And
They're
making sure we don't blow
observing,
each other up with nukes.
helping when
A
they're
little
called
bit.
forward, they help. They're observing, they appreciate our free will. I personally don't believe that angels carry a big breadth of emotion. Like, I think they're more neutral
Of
Yeah.
course.
and feeling and sensitive, and you know, they are here to help. The angelic beings are here to help and support us. Call on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Call on the
Beautiful.
aqua people. Call on the water people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have
Do
so
your
much
ceremony at
support.
water. Pardon?
I was like, we have so much support that we forget sometimes. And
Well, it's
we,
easy to forget.
yes, it is. It is.
It's almost like we remember
y'all.
and
It
we have
was.
these conversations and we forget tomorrow.
Like, oh yeah, yeah. You
It
know, we
was.
go back.
We're gonna start changing that. It was easy to forget. We're remembering this time.
Like, who did we have on the summit yesterday?
Yeah, right,
What did I
right.
wear?
Well, but that's also true living in the moment too. You know,
Right.
that's true living in
Right.
the moment. And just touching on the theme of this talk, which was the shadows of Atlantis and Lemuria.
Mhm.
I don't know how much time I have.
No, take another 5 minutes. We're
Okay.
probably about at time.
There are many, many beings who feel, humans who feel some kind of way about Atlantis.
Yes.
Because of the things that went down there, because this incarnation that Atlantis and Lemuria had together, where the Atlanteans enslaved the Lemurians. So there's this whole kind of you know, it's kind of a little bit like the native peoples, and you know, it's that type of a dynamic. And so of course you're going to feel some kind of way about a group who maybe repressed your soul people, your soul lineage. And so the important part of healing that shadow aspect of us is, of course, we are here to release and resolve all those karmic influences. And, you know, up in the great beyond, we're all having a party together.
I know.
We're just down here acting out these roles. And coming out of the victim perpetrator paradigm is one of the most important things we can do.
Yes.
The most important things for your personal ascension, and realize it's just a game, Fokker.
It surely is.
I mean, it's a serious game. It is,
It
you
is.
know,
I don't want to. Yeah.
and when you remember, I've remembered many perpetrator lifetimes. It's
Yes.
easy to remember the victim ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we've
When
also
you
played the other
remember
role.
when you were the bad guy,
Yeah.
like I remembered being an Atlantean geneticist doing scientific experiments on creatures, molding them together in the name of science, and having no feelings about it.
Right.
And I remembered that in this life, I was actually reading a Dolores Cannon book. I broke down and I cried and I begged for forgiveness because
Wow.
I could not believe that I had been someone so devious. And it gave me a new insight on some of the nefarious things and people happening here. And part of my restitution in this life is to karmically balance that scientist, his imbalances that he created. I raised my hand and said, I'll come do this work and do it. We're doing that for a lot of our aspects. And if you are brave enough to go into perpetrator lifetime, it really is expansive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's really looking at some shadows too. It's
Yes, it
beautiful.
Yeah.
is. And on the very purest form. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's well said. Thank you, Leonka.
Yeah.
All
With
right.
that, thank you so much. Do you have any parting words for us or a message?
Uh, you know, my parting words really are, over the next years, you are going to see tremendous, tremendous earth changes. And, you know, the beings who will exit this planet via those situations are going to help us from the other side as well. As much as we will be like mourning, and it feels really, really awful to see these things going down, it is part of their community contract, their soul
was just thinking
contract, their
that.
family contract, their community contract. It's part of their contract when they came down to this planet. And, you know, some of us will be here for a long, long, long time, seeing it through, and some of us will be helping from the other side. And it's all good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful. All right, you guys stay around for another a couple of quick announcements. Sorry. I'm looking at the time because I have to go get my son. But I want to remind you that we have a drawing And we are giving away a one-on-one with the session from either Jennifer or I. And the way in which you participate in this drawing is by engaging on social media. So if you leave a comment on either TikTok or Instagram, we're barely growing the TikTok account, but it's definitely where a lot of the woo peeps
I'm
hang
doing
out.
just fine on
I
my
know,
personal
right?
dragon channeling one.
Anyway, so basically, if you leave a How Hustle live, it's where you can find it on both Instagram and TikTok. Also, you can also leave a comment on the YouTube as well. So, How Hustle is the way in which you find the YouTube channel. And just take a screenshot of that and send it to team@howhustle.com in order to be entered. So we make sure that we get your name in the cauldron that we'll draw from on Friday.
And if you participate every single day,
We
you
get
get
more.
more numbers in here, so you get more chances to
Yep.
win. So play with us. We also have a free community with some chatter from behind the scenes, and please amp up some more chatter. It's at community.houthustle.com. We just any insights, any whispers that you have, that you notice something from Monday, you notice something from Tuesday, you notice something from Wednesday, and they all line up. I feel like I have a couple of
Yeah,
those things.
sure.
Maybe I should put it out
I'm gonna
there.
put those in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely
Um,
had a couple of those
yeah.
whispers
Uh,
over the last 3 days.
It's completely free, and if you think you might be interested in coming to our inner circle, we invite you to be a part of that so that we can upgrade you to a premium once you become a Mystique member. So if you are looking for a deeper experience around all this work, we have other opportunities for you to play with us in our inner circle.
And that's called Mystique Society. You can find out more information about Mystique, just the different bonuses and the just the benefits for being a Mystique and how we meet and when we meet at touthustle.com/join. So you can
Yep.
read that page there. But there'll be some more opportunities for us to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about it in the future.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it. Tracy, do you have a question? Your hand just went up.
Yes, we had a couple questions on the chat. Is there
Okay.
a
Okay.
discount? Is there a discount code for the VIP or Mystique members off the classes, or is it automatically applied?
Every special offer that a speaker gives you, you get 10% off, and that code is in your welcome email.
Oh, great. All right, I might have to email you guys, but I'll
No
look for
worries.
it.
Okay. Okay, great.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's mixed in there somewhere.
Look at me almost giving out the codes.
You're like, the code is.
You
Yep.
do have to be a member for that code.
Code.
Now, don't forget that Jenith is doing a
The-
tremendous, beautiful gift for us with the dragons.
Yeah, the
Orders,
Dragon
the meditation.
Voyages.
Yeah.
They're really good to listen to in the morning or at night when you just want to relax and chill out and take a little journey. It really is a voyage. Like, you hop on your dragon and you go flying off, and I mean, I listen to them all the time. I listen
I
to my
love
own
it.
work
You
all the
meet
time,
your
right?
dragon. I
You get to
changed
meet
me.
your dragon, you get to see what their scales look like, you get to see what they feel like. And it really is channeled information. It doesn't, it's not something that I just made up and said, I'm going to do this. It really was like a calling.
Yeah.
And
And she's doing it right now for this week only for $8.88.
no, it's just $8.80.
80 cents. Sorry.
Yep,
I
but
tripled
you've
the
got to
price.
put the code
Dragon.
dragons with an S. It's all small letters in the program called Dragon Voyage. You can find it on the shop, and we'll put it in the newsletter for the next couple days. You have to do it by Friday. It is a summit only thing, but it's definitely worth $44 too.
If you're interested in upgrading to our VIP, you get all of the past 7 summits as a replay, and it's forever, forever, forever yours. You will also get the any other summits that we do in the future, and so it's just a really great way to support the channel. We always have said that we wanted to do these summits as a free resource, and we also do a a live show every Tuesday and Thursday. And we make a special offer at the end of those as well. But again, we always said it would be a free resource. And so you're invited to join us and keep hanging out with us with live speakers every Tuesday and Thursday. And a portion of our proceeds also go to benefit women and children related causes. Right now, we're supporting riseandup.org. They take in laptops and tablets to be refurbished to give to other people in need for use in wellness and education. Anything else? Y'all let us know how you're doing. I want to hear from you on the chat, and make sure to join in on our drawing here. And you can do that on Instagram or YouTube.
Yep. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Yay! Thank you, everyone.
And
We're
with
How
that,
Hustle, reminding you
to take a little time to
enjoy the
wheel.
wheel. Have a good one.
Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.